Gaming news today is all about responding to customer feedback. First, we have Black Ops 7 seemingly responding to not just criticism of their own skins, but even some of the praise of Battlefield 6. But could this whole thing blow up in their face, as it's a bit of a walk back of former commitments? We're going to look at the details and discuss. Second, PlayStation has updated how easy it is to apply for a refund, but it'll still basically show you that their refund approach is still trash. We'll talk about it. Third, Herman Hulst has spoken to how they want to fail early and cheaply when it comes to live service games. But what does that mean for Marathon? We're going to discuss that as well and get into those details. When I have multiple segments like this, there will be timestamps below that you can use. I do those maybe an hour or so into the broadcast. And the reason I do that is we just sort of like to start the day just chatting and hanging out with people and, you know, just sort of getting into a groove with the live show. And then we do those segments later. So those timestamps will be below. We also had a video go live on the channel just this morning about Bungie and the GDC thing that they did, the Justin Truman GDC presentation, where he said that you don't want to do over delivery. We actually looked at that, and that video is live on the channel. He said things in there that I think are far more concerning than the over-delivery line. The over-delivery line is actually not that concerning, and people being upset kind of proved him correct. So you can check out that video as well on the channel right now. And listen, if you have continued to watch this channel, whether you're here when I'm live, whether you watch later, thank you for doing that. That is how I'm able to do this full time. But more directly, the reason I'm able to do this full time as a content creator is because of direct support. And the channel for years now has been very lopsided, mostly gifted, and a very lower portion of that ratio is people paying for their own memberships. So if you've never done that before on YouTube, I get it. It's very different for YouTube, but that is a huge aspect of what we need right now, which is people paying for their own memberships. So consider doing that. Click join. It's $6 a month. You get into the Discord, extra segments. I'm even considering an entire new segment that we would do instead of the green room. It would be more of like reacting to content. You guys want to see me react to videos, that's something you would get exclusive access to, and then later obviously we would use that, but you would not get access to it right away if you're not one of the paying members. Green room sort of taking a different bit of a shape there as a piece of content, and I would want it to be better value for you guys, and we're kind of always revisiting that. So many ways to support the channel listed below. Easiest way to support right now is to hit the like button, hit subscribe, and we can get into the discussion. And Jack Garland's going to start things off. Han shot first, and so did you. 5 gifted members coming in hot, and we are well behind on pace. That takes us to 84, and another 5 bomb comes in from Joker Quinn and gets us to 89. If you guys want that Friday night segment, I was going to play Gears of War with Madam on Friday night, and if you guys want that segment on Friday night, we've got a long way to go. We're halfway through the week already, and we have really slowed down, which is not surprising given some things that we've done recently, but that is why we're continuing to say, hey, if you're not getting it gifted because it slowed down a little bit, maybe pick up your own membership, and that adds to the total as well. And thank you so much, Angry Pete, for using your Prime sub over here on Purple. That's huge. If you guys are literally paying for Amazon Prime, that's something you can take advantage of every single month, and that does support the creators over here. And that puts us an exact 10 bomb away from the first 100 of the week. Wired Rope's going to make it easier with a 5 bomb over here on Purple. So we're starting off strong, and we need it this week. We've had a bit of a slow start, but hey, we've had big huge turnarounds before, and the contest trundles along as well. Next 5 bomb secures the next milestone, and that's who ends up getting the gifted member. So good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Try to get us to those first 100 likes as well. We greatly appreciate it. Good afternoon, Chris. How are you? Definitely recommend you don't download any digital game from the PlayStation Store you may not keep. Yeah, that is one of the aspects of refunds that I want to talk about. And Angry Pete nails it. He uses his Prime on Purple, and he helps secure the first 100. Many hands make light work, and the 5 bombs add up very quickly. We've seen huge huge 5 bombs before. Overreach, overpromise, overwatch. There you go. There you go. That's how they probably landed on that name. That's right. But yeah, the PlayStation refund policy is still, to me, absolutely backwards. Not allowing you to refund a game simply because you downloaded it, I would argue, is pretty stupid. They can clearly see whether you've played and how long you've played. Not difficult. And a 5 bomb comes in from Alex over here on purple. Maybe he's setting up the first 20 bomb of the week. Currently, I owe YouTube a single gifted. I actually owe you guys 2 from yesterday, so what we'll do is we'll get that to the 5, and then I'll just drop a 5 bomb on you guys, so 2 more till then. But we're a 20 bomb away from the next milestone of 125. Thank you so much. Feeling a lot better this week than last week. Well, that's good. Yo, it's good. Batman Bats Gotham. I'm driving, going to listen. Well, thank you so much for listening and lurking. We appreciate it. Guys, get us the first 100 likes. We changed format this morning, and I don't know. It may be causing an issue this morning. Make sure and try and get us the first 100 likes. That can help. I did premiere a video before we came over here, and I'm not sure if that change in format is causing some confusion. So we may see some folks kind of staggering in here late because they may be confused they may think that the premiere was the live show, and it wasn't. It was an upload from the other day. Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Raphael. How are you? Games like Split Fiction allow you to gift the game to another person. Correct. Yeah, as much as I'm a PlayStation diehard, their refund system is an absolute joke. Yeah, I think that if you're going to update your refund system and say, oh, hey, you can do it, really easily, you just go in here and request it. It's like, okay, well, maybe actually allow people to refund games they've not even played. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you go and you buy a game, and it installs in your PlayStation, and you never open it, you never turn the game on, but your friend tells you it's bad, you see reviews that say it's bad, and you're like, well, this is bad. Let me just go ahead and return that. And they're going to be like, no, you downloaded it. It's like, now hang on a minute. You can see whether or not I played the game. I literally had this altercation with PlayStation about Elden Ring Night Rain. I was like, you can clearly see I haven't played the game. I haven't touched it. So why would you not be like, oh, well, this was clearly, either buyer's remorse or they changed their mind? Like, that to me is exactly how you should be treated. Now, if you want to get into a debate about whether or not you should be able to play the game for an hour or play the game for 2 hours, whatever, I like what, obviously I like what Steam does. But if they don't want to go that far, at the very least, can you prevent you to play after a refund? Yeah. Of course they can. They just revoke your license. They can do that right now. That was something I talked about in my video about how gamers want refunds. And I talked about how, Stop Killing Games as an initiative really highlights the fact that they can give you a refund very easily. They can very easily do it. They can take your ability to play the game away in an instant. They can just revoke your license. They're like, no, you hang on. We want your money, all of it. You're right. I said the quiet part out loud. There's another negative thing about digital-only games. I talked about it gives these companies too much control over your game and habit. How does it being digital affect your habits? What's good, Lady Gamer? I don't understand what you mean there. A game being digital doesn't do anything to my habits. I mean, I don't have a physical clam, like a jewel case. I almost said clamshell. I don't have a jewel case and a disc, but I'm not going to play any differently because the game is a digital. They aren't giving the option if you change your mind. They are giving the option if you clicked by accident. If you change your mind, you can go get bent. This is true. PSN just needs to do the Steam thing. Let us have 2 hours of play time to refund. Well, obviously, you got to be a little bit careful with smaller games, right? Because, the difficulty would be you're going to allow people to potentially get a pretty good chunk of the game beat and then they're just going to set it down. There are some 4 and 5 hour indie titles that 2 hours is a third of their game. So obviously somebody could apply for an exception and say, hey, our game is smaller, we would like it to only be an hour, or our game is smaller, you can get a pretty good chunk of the game beat in that amount of time. Guys, if you haven't done so already, as you're kind of piling in the door here, hit that like button. Greatly appreciate you tuning in this morning. They have too much control over not habits, let's say hobby. I can't do what I want to do. They cut you off anytime they want. I don't like the physical. I could always put my game in and play. Yeah, I mean, I understand where you're coming from. I think people, I don't want to talk about it this morning. I don't have the energy for it. I don't have the energy for the digital boogeyman. I'm exhausted thinking about it. Just turn off auto download for any game that you're skeptical of. You can return any game that you haven't downloaded. So if you turn off auto download, if you have buyer's remorse, you can return it. Here's the issue with the refund policy, though, Corey. This is the issue. You literally, I would say, about 90% of the time, there is going to be a download directly following the purchase. Like, that's just what you're going to do. You're going to immediately download the game after purchasing it. Like, that's like 90% of the time. Now, that doesn't mean that you play it right then and there. You're downloading it to install. You're preloading it like 2 or 3 days before the game is even playable. Right? Like, you can pre-install a game and not even actually have the ability to play it. It's got the little countdown, right? Even within that window, you should especially be able to refund that game. You just changed your mind. You're like, yeah, you know what? I'm thinking about it. I kind of need that money back. I want to spend it on something else or whatever. Who knows? You can't even play it yet. It's just installed on your hard drive. Don't have it auto download. Someone 3 megs in the middle of nowhere. Jimmy crying in COD. 100 gig download size. They even said that at the end of the deep Jesus. Oh, you guys are talking about No Man's Sky. Microsoft has a refund limit for the year, but they do allow later refunds than what you're describing. Yeah, but we've even had people say they've tried to do the refund thing through Microsoft and Xbox, and they don't have any luck. It's a crapshoot. I've had people say with PlayStation, when they reach out via chat, they get a refund every time. I tried it. I got told no. I've had people say the same thing about Xbox. They're like, oh, yeah, I tried to go get a refund, and they told me no. I've had people say, oh, you get one every 90 days. I've had people say they've gotten multiple refunds from Xbox. That's the problem with it, is it's not consistent. It seems to be literally dependent on the person that you get into contact with. And Raphael with a 5-bomb gets us to 110. You guys are going to have to play a bit of catch-up this week if you want that Friday night stream with Madam. And I need to get a Gears of War PNG. Let's see if we can put Marcus down there. I will actually play the game. I'll play the new Gears of War with Madam on Friday night. We enjoyed Space Marine. I think it'd be hysterical to watch her play Gears. Let me see here if I can find a good one. This one's decent. It's kind of hard to tell that it's him, but it'll work. Here, hang on. We go in here to the orc. We made. Did we make? Oh yeah, we made Madam play Mind's Eye. There we go. We'll put Marcus down there as a reminder. That's what you guys are working on this week. Thank you so much, Raphael. Worked in customer service, so I'm used to it, but I reported for... Oh, you got told to buzz off? They told you to buzz off? I'm against the refund policy, but for that reason, if I buy a game that I'm skeptical of, I turn off auto download and I wait. If the news of release is bad, I can always return to it, no questions. My thought on that is very simple. It should not take that degree of sounds. What in the world? it should not take that degree of like consumer care and like you're almost like walking on eggshells, right? Like it shouldn't. You shouldn't have to be that careful. You know what I mean? Got his degree here, says Omar, someone who watched the video, y'all glazing the pro too much. Yeah, got it. Criticism of a video is glazing. Sure, got it, Omar. I ordered a game, then realized it was for PS4. Asked for a refund so I can get the PS5 version. They said no. See, stuff like that. Like, you should just be able to do that. Like, what in the world? I ordered a game and then I realized it was for PS4. You ask for a refund so you get the PS5 version. Like, that should just be an easy, like, flip of a switch. Like, oh, yeah, sure, no problem. I don't understand. Incredible Black with 4 months. Welcome back. Thank you so much. Let me add you to the total. There we go. Member battle continues. Ordered from where? Well, yeah, I mean, it sounds like he did it through digital. Order the game, then realize it was PS4. Asked for a refund so I get the PS5 version. They said no. I mean, I'm assuming if you did that in the store, you would just walk back in, and as long as you hadn't opened it, they would swap it for you. They would just like, you know what I mean? They would just do a refund of the original. They would take that one, put it back on the shelf, and then they would give you the new one. There is no competition. What are you going to do? Go buy physical and also not be able to return it? They get you coming and going. Sure, right. Steam has clearly demonstrated what is viable. I would be really curious if Steam has internal data that indicates you actually get people to spend more money when you do this, because they don't feel like they have to sit here and like bite their nails like, ooh, should I buy this game or should I wait? Like, I wonder if they feel more emboldened as a purchaser. A 5-bomb comes in from Rockin' Robin. We have a bit of a 5-bomb train going on right now on Team YouTube. That's 5 in a row. 5 in a row. Thank you guys so much. The return policy on PlayStation, that's the only one I could speak of, is terrible. My contention on refunds is very, very simple. If the ease with which you purchase something is how easily you should be able to refund it. Like when I go to a store and I buy something, going back to that store and refunding it and getting my money back is simple. I go to the store and I do it. They're not like, oh, we know you purchased that here at Target, but you actually have to go downtown, take an elevator to the 37th floor, and go wait in a waiting room, and they'll let you return it there. Right? Like, you got to go to the factory. You got to go to the warehouse. You got to go to wherever. No. That you as the consumer, you go back to point of purchase, and then you're able to get your money back. The point of purchase in digital is right there in the storefront. It's right there in the storefront. It's like, I should be able to return it right then and there. They're faking pretty order numbers from Game Pass holders. If you get Game Pass, they're counting it as a pre-order for Black Ops 7? Are you serious? How do you even know that? How would you possibly even know that's how they're doing it? Have they officially reported that? False summary on your end of what I'm saying. But I'm not glazing the pro, Omar. Like, the point of the video is that it's a very lacking and lopsided video, and you guys told me that it wasn't. You guys told me that was a good video. It is a bad video. I'll react to it this afternoon. I'll show you how bad it is. It is truly disappointing that some of you came to me and said it was a good video. I was like, I watched the video this morning. I'm like, this is not a good video. It is super lopsided and super lacking in information. What video? It was some video they had me look at yesterday about the leaps in video in quality in games has not been big enough or something. We scrolled through it. I didn't want to watch it because the video was like literally like an hour old. It was the one, gaming is broken. Should gaming just stop here? Reacting to the fact that like you got a guy from Final Fantasy saying like we don't need new consoles or whatever. And I said, why would I watch a video where I can clearly see there's bad comparisons being made in the video? He pulled up somebody else's video and like the comparisons. And so people were like, no, it's actually good. It's actually thoughtful. So I watched it. No, it's not. It's not thoughtful. It's lacking information. It's lacking balance. Super lopsided. Completely ignores the PS5 Pro and how it actually has been praised by tech outlets and what it's capable of while hailing like advances in ray tracing and stuff on PC. It's not a good video. And I was shocked. I was literally shocked that I had people in this community telling me like, no, it's good. It's a balanced take. No, it's not. Not at all. I couldn't believe the longer I watched it, I was like, where is the balance? Where's the nuance and the good information? It's lacking pretty severe amounts of information. And then we're going to hand wave tariffs. Like, come on. What does the focus on the Pro have to do with the overall video? If you misrepresent what the Pro is able to do, which he does, that's why I said people keep glazing the Pro. No one's glazing the Pro. The context of the video is literally graphical leaps, and he talks about ray tracing and things that are leaping and improving on PC, and ignores what has been said by actual tech outlets on what the Pro has brought. Also, he positions the Pro as if it's a generation. It's not. It's a mid-gen, and as a mid-gen, it's been described as a generational leap. That's absent. He goes to the worst example of a game on the Pro. He goes to Metal Gear. You're not going to go to the global illumination ray tracing that got turned on in the Pro in performance mode and was described as a generational leap by Digital Foundry while talking about generational leaps. So you make a video about generational leaps and how we didn't really get a generational leap like we used to. What do you say about Metal Gear? Go to the section where he shows Metal Gear on the Pro and listen to what he said. That if the devs tweaked it, they could have locked it in. No. Go to the section about the Pro. The video is about generational leaps and how we don't get what we used to. And he ignores that we did get a generational leap on the Pro. Also, the Pro is not a next-gen jump. It's a mid-gen refresh. And then, throughout the entire video, showing a screenshot from a video where you don't even see how much better Spider-Man 2 does look on PS5 versus PS4. Also, completely ignoring the entire elements of what made Spider-Man 2 a jump from Spider-Man 1, which was like instantaneous load times, speed of traversal, as well as all the reflective properties on the buildings. That's not in the video. So it's a video about how we haven't really seen these big graphical jumps while completely ignoring where there have been significant graphical jumps. He wasn't positioning the Pro as another gen, but what was the best gen could offer versus the previous gen. Right, which, as I said, it doesn't really showcase it in that way. He's saying there are improvements, but you won't see them as dramatically as we did. Right, there you go. Thank you for admitting that that's a lopsided video and it's missing information. Because if you're going to showcase the Pro as the best we could get this gen, and then you show the worst possible example, you just admitted that the video is lacking information. He positions the Pro as another gen, that's the best the gen can offer, and he shows the worst example. How do you not see that as a problem? If you're going to say this is the best we can get this gen, then show the best we can get this gen. Show Spider-Man 2 on a Pro. Show with all the increases on the reflective properties of the buildings. Show global illumination turned on in Assassin's Creed Shadows. Show Burning Shores that was described as like playing on a high-end PC by John Linneman from Digital Foundry. We have diminishing returns in all areas of hardware. And to demonstrate that on the PlayStation 5 Pro, you would show their best work versus previous gen. And he doesn't do that. He creates this mirage that like, well, this is the best we have right now. And he shows Metal Gear, which is literally the worst example of a game right now on the Pro. Number one, it's third party. Number two, they clearly did something wrong. There's clearly a problem. I can't believe you're defending a video that's arguing we don't really get generational leaps like we used to, and then you don't show the height of graphical fidelity this gen. That is incredibly lopsided. That's incredibly lacking in information. If you're not well-versed in the hardware right now, if you're not well-versed in what these consoles are capable of, you would watch that video and think, man, the Pro is a joke. These consoles barely look any better than the previous gen consoles. And it isn't true. That's not true. If you're going to talk about generational leaps, then show the actual generational leaps. You chose a game that is an example of terrible development, and then you've got comparisons behind you the entire video of like a shaded, shadowy image of Miles not in the Spider-Man outfit to be like, yeah, we're not getting the jumps that we used to get. Now, you want to focus on raw data numbers of resolution. That's not the issue. The issue, again, goes back to image quality, and he himself brings up ray tracing, which, if you look at the Pro, what it's able to do with ray tracing is a huge jump versus last gen. That's limiting what he was talking about as he talks about frame rates, ray tracing, and other improvements being there. Right, and if... This is killing me, Omar. I feel like you're so much smarter than this. That video doesn't demonstrate how far this gen has come. It completely hides it from the frame. Whether it's intentional or not, the video is not showcasing what you can get this gen. Seriously, this gen, what you can get is global illumination at 60 FPS, Death Stranding 2, Burning Shores, Spider-Man 2 with reflective surfaces, and he's like, yeah, we're just not getting the leaps that we're getting, and he doesn't show the actual leaps. Having a difference of opinion doesn't equal challenging my intelligence. I'll challenge it right now, as I didn't just challenge your intelligence. Like, I didn't. I said you're smarter than this. You're actually restructuring his entire video because you want to defend it. I'm with Omar. It seemed perfectly reasonable to me. So you're going to make a video, and you're going to say, you know what? We don't get the graphical leaps this gen like we got previous gen, and you don't show the highest leaps. You don't show the highest leaps. You show the worst examples. You show a low-level, low-light, low-resolution capture of Miles Morales compared to PS4 Spider-Man, and you show Metal Gear. Don't you really argue we aren't getting the graphical leaps this generation? I argue that there's not going to be a giant chasm of difference at the end of the generation versus the first. I have argued that Horizon Forbidden West is very close to the ceiling of what we're going to get this gen. I have never said that we're not getting leaps or that we're not getting improvements, and then, oh yeah, compared to PS4, yeah, we haven't gotten barely anything. I'm like, no, frame rates have doubled. They've added a ton of ray tracing. They've added a ton of reflective surfaces, all things, he talks about happening on PC. If you're going to actually talk about how, yeah, we're not really getting generational leaps, we're not really getting improvements this gen, and you don't show the best examples, then you're cherry picking. This is literally what people do. People go to the PS4 and they're like, look how good The Last of Us looked. Look how good Spider-Man looked. Look how good God of War looked, right? They go to the late gen PlayStation 4 and they're like, look how great they looked at the end of the PlayStation 4, right? Look how great games looked at the end of the PS3. If you're going to do that this gen, to indict it as like we really didn't get leaps, then you have to show the best examples. That's what people always do. They'll go to PS3, they'll go to PS4, and they'll say, these are the best examples. These are the games that looked the best. Why would you not do that? Why would you not show Spider-Man 2 with what they did with all the reflections on the buildings on the Pro? Why would you not go to Burning Shores? Why would you not go to Assassin's Creed Shadows with global illumination turned on? Why would you not show Death Stranding 2? You show Metal Gear? A remake that's been decried as an optimization disaster? We're getting the leaps. The leaps are different and they're not as noticeable to the average person. But to not even show the best examples when talking about the lack of leaps. You don't see? This has nothing to do with like glazing the PS5 Pro. There's no glazing. It's that if you're going to showcase the leaps in PS1 to PS2, PS2 to PS3, PS3 to PS4, PS4 to PS5, then actually show the best examples. Why would you not show the best examples? Why would you not show, yeah, this is how far they're pushing things? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like the video doesn't once actually show what this gen is capable of. You come away from that video and you have no information about what the gen's actually capable of. Oh, ray tracing? He talks about how like, oh, I hope we see more ray tracing and things and neural processing in the future. It's like, but the PS5 Pro right now showcases what's possible with ray tracing. Why wouldn't you look at that? You would. Why? I don't understand. Why wouldn't you look at that? That's literally in the presentation about the Pro, advanced ray tracing. That's literally in the presentation about the Pro. So why wouldn't you say, okay, they're claiming they've got advanced ray tracing. Let's see how much better these things look. Let's see what kind of a leap that we're getting. Let's go and look at what we're getting with the ray tracing on the PS5 Pro. This channel is aimed at gamers. I don't think he's explaining it for someone unfamiliar. Now you're making excuses for completely absent pieces of information as if gamers are supposed to know. So you think the average gamer understands the fidelity differences between AC shadows on the PS5 to the PS5 Pro, as we literally showed people images and they thought it was fake? We literally were showing people the differences between the PS5 and the PS5 Pro the one day on AC shadows. I had people in my chat that thought it was fake because the differences were so significant. Ragnarok runs at triple and sometimes quadruple the frame rate as 2018 with better visuals. How is that not a leap? I don't think the average gamer is looking at a frame time graph. Okay. So you're allowed to make a video and completely leave things out of it because you're assuming audience knowledge. You're assuming audience knowledge. Well, the people that are interested in this are interested in frame graphs, and so they have greater working knowledge. So you're presuming that everybody in the audience understands the graphical leaps on the Pro have actually been pretty significant in things like Burning Shores, Spider-Man 2, AC Shadows, as well as Death Stranding 2. It's a channel that mostly discusses hardware. It's interesting, then, that you wouldn't discuss what the Pro is actually capable of if it's about hardware. Like, it's a video about hardware that completely leaves out of the frame what the Pro does and what it's capable of with ray tracing. So as a tech outlet, it is once again lacking in information. If you were in the dark about what the Pro was capable of, what's good, Mike on the mic? If you were ignorant about what the PS5 Pro was capable of, and you watch that video, you would be like, the Pro doesn't really do that much. Because all you get to see is Metal Gear. A side-by-side on Metal Gear. No side-by-side on AC Shadows. No side-by-side Spider-Man 2. Forbidden West Burning Shores. No side-by-sides of that. Actual games leveraging the ray tracing, leveraging the thing that he says is improving on PC, and he hopes to see improvements of in the future. If that is a video that's supposed to inform people about tech and what the tech's capable of, it is got massive holes in it. There's just huge portions that should be there that aren't there. From over here, we don't really consider the Pro to have advanced ray tracing. It's got baby ray tracing. Okay, subjective opinion, that's actually not about what the thing's capable of. If you're going to make a video about generational leaps and how we used to get bigger leaps, and you're a tech outlet, why would you not say, this is something that the PS5 Pro says it can do? Let's take a look at the best examples. And let's ask, are we actually getting leaps here? Instead, you don't do that. You completely gloss over the fact that the PS5 Pro has added more ray tracing that wasn't present last gen, as Omar said. The mention of the Pro is to say, this is our best this gen. This is the best way you can play games this gen on a console. Let's take a look at what it has to offer. And we don't do that. We get a side-by-side of Metal Gear. So if you're actually trying to show what this gen can do, and you're going to go to the strongest piece of hardware, you're a tech outlet after all. Why would you not talk about, this is the way that Sony positioned the device? Let's actually take a look at what it can do. Not subjective opinion, we can look at the hardware. Like saying that calling a PS4 CPU slower is subjective. Okay, again, calling it baby ray tracing is subjective opinion. You're not saying something that's technical. You're invoking some term that's personal to you and personal to the people that think that along the lines that you're thinking. If you are a tech outlet and you are talking about a piece of technology and your indictment of the technology is we're not getting the leaps that we used to get, and you don't show what it can actually do, your video is severely lacking in information. There's a huge hole there. It's like, why would you not show that this is how high we can go? He isn't indicting the tech? Yeah, he is. He's saying we don't get the leaps we used to get. That's an indictment. You're saying, listen, we're not getting the leaps we used to get. The entire context of that discussion is a developer saying consumers don't really want new hardware. We don't really need new hardware. And he's looking and saying, yeah, we're not really getting the leaps that we used to get, right? So if you don't really get the leaps that you used to get, you're basically saying, yeah, the hardware is not really doing what it used to do. It's an indictment of the hardware. You're basically saying we're going to have to start leveraging things like ray tracing, neural processing, AI, things like that, because the hardware is getting depreciating returns. This is something that everybody generally agrees upon, that the hardware itself is not really doing what it used to do. That at some level is an indictment of the hardware. You're not selling the hardware on the same promises anymore of like, oh yeah, if you buy this hardware, you're going to get this massive jump in native resolution. You're going to get this massive jump in all these different things. We're all in agreement on that. The problem with the video is you're painting this picture that we didn't get leaps this time. What's more obvious leap from SNES to N64 or PS4 to PS5? No, see, I'm not falling for your reductionistic form of questioning to get me to answer a question that's blatantly obvious, which is condescending. I'm not playing that game. That video aims at saying, we don't get the leaps we used to get. Why would you not show the actual leaps that we got this time? It's a massive hole in the video. If I came to you and I said, we don't get the leaps that we used to get, let me show you a Series X versus an Xbox One, and I don't show Forza Horizon, I show Redfall. What the frick would you say to me? You would say, that's cherry picking, Lono. You're using one of the worst examples to say that we're not getting a bump. That would be so blatantly obvious that I was playing a game. Oh yeah, Series X, we're just not getting the leaps versus the Xbox One. Let me show you Redfall instead of Forza Horizon. Like, I know the best example of how to showcase a Series X. I'm not a tech guy. I don't talk about hardware here. And I know if I'm going to put the Series X in the best light possible to say, this is like the height of what the Series X can do, I'm going to show you Forza Horizon. To say, this is the leap we got this gen versus, and then I guess that would be the easiest thing to do. You'd show an older Forza, right? So if you're trying to showcase what this gen is capable of, and you show the strongest console this gen, and you show Metal Gear, that's suspicious to me. It's like, what in the world? Why wouldn't you show the best example this gen? Why wouldn't you show something that's been hailed as Digital Foundry said, Forbidden West Burning Shores is like playing on a high-end PC. Assassin's Creed Shadows with global illumination turned on for performance mode was described as a generational leap by Digital Foundry. But you're not going to show that. You show a bad game to show that we're not getting the leaps that we used to get. Jiminy Christmas, like, how can you not see that glaring, gaping hole in the video? If I walked out and I did that with the Series X, you'd call it what it was. You'd be like, that's bad faith. You're not showing the best example of what that console can do. It would also be like saying, and many people do this with the PC, when a game comes out and is poorly optimized and is running poorly, they say, yeah, PC master race. They try to act like, yeah, PC's not all it's cracked up to be. But that's not an indictment or like a sign that like PCs aren't great or PCs aren't capable of really, really impressive graphics. Like a poorly optimized game is not what you would use to trot out that argument. Like as an example, imagine that I made that video and I said, we're getting depreciating returns on hardware. These guys spend all this money. They'll put together a $3,000 PC and look what they get. And I showed Metal Gear. Do you know what people would rightly accuse me of? They would be like, well, that's a very large misrepresentation of what a $3,000 PC can do. You're showing a terrible example. Yeah, guys, you're spending $3,000 on a PC and look at the depreciating returns you're getting. And I show a bad game. You would be like, what is that? You would be like, show Cyberpunk, Lono. Show Cyberpunk. You should show one of the better examples of what PCs are capable of. Reacting to the video there and also saying maybe Spider-Man isn't the best example, but we are starting to see diminishing returns compared to previous gens. So you can say maybe this isn't the best example. So you can steel man or you can straw man. That video doesn't steel man at all. If you were going to try to say, listen, let's actually look and see what the leaps have been. If you're going to try to come to the conclusion that we aren't getting leaps, then show the leaps. Show what the leaps actually are. Not some terrible side-by-side comparison of Spider-Man that doesn't even actually compare the games. It's like Miles is in a jacket and is in like shaded areas. So like it doesn't even look right. It's like, doesn't even look that good. It's not a good showcase of the actual device. Like the context of the discussion is launched into by, do we even need more consoles? Because of what Yoshi P said. So the entire springboard is, can we just stop here? Are we not really getting leaps anymore? Okay. And then he talks about how, well, maybe we'll get better leaps in the future with ray tracing and the neural processing stuff. And it's like, okay, the beginning of that is right now on the Pro. Like the beginning of that is right now on the Pro. They've already done what he said he's hoping happens, and he doesn't put it in the video. That's what's crazy to me. It's like you're into tech, you're into hardware, and you seemingly are completely unaware and oblivious to the fact that the PS5 Pro is doing what you're wanting. It's literally doing it. Doesn't he show a video of all the games? He's got the side-by-side of Spider-Man, and then he shows Metal Gear. He doesn't show any other games to showcase like what the Pro is capable of. Because I'm not a tech guy, but if I was making that video, I would say, hey, and one of the best parts of his video is he speaks to why ray tracing will actually help speed up development, and that's something that I have said very many times. I said that I felt like ray tracing was a gimmick and it was a resource hog, and then I did my research and I was like, oh, this is why developers like ray tracing. It actually speeds up development, which is one of the reasons why I said the Pro would be disruptive in the industry, because it would literally go to developers and say, this is what you want, right? This is what you want. You guys want more ray tracing? You guys want to speed up development? Our device helps you do that. Our device is going to get you really, really good results. And then when you look at the results in Assassin's Creed Shadows, it's like, this is literally unprecedented. This level of fidelity and lighting at 60 FPS in a big open world game on a console, it's unprecedented. And to not have that in a video about graphical leaps, a video that talks about ray tracing, a video that talks about how that's where we're starting to see improvements, that's where I'm hoping we see more of that in the future, that's where we're starting to see, that speeds up development time. That not being in the video, as I said, the reason this entire discussion started is the video is lacking significant pieces of information. It's very lopsided. It's like, we're going to try to establish that we're getting depreciating returns. This is true. But then you don't actually look at the ceiling of what is capable on a console right now. You go to a terrible port. You go to something that's being hailed as largely like a failure at this point. Instead of saying, well, this is actually what's possible this gen. This is how far we've come. Like, I can't say it any other way. If you're going to try to claim we're not getting the leaps we once got, and you're intentionally ignoring the biggest leaps, that immediately makes alarm bells go off in my head. I'm like, why aren't you showing the actual leaps that we got this gen? Why aren't you actually doing that? Give me like 1 second. This is the problem with PC gamers. They constantly try to downplay console while trying to play up PC using games that are the same when considering console versus PC. Lono has a point. That's my point, is like, if I was going to that video hoping to be educated about how much of a leap do we have right now in the console space, that video completely misinforms me. It completely it completely leaves out the actual leap that we got. It's not even present in the video. That's my frustration with it, is like, you're driving this picture of like, we didn't get big leaps this time around. There's an element of truth to that, but you're also leaving out where the improvements happened. Instantaneous load times in Spider-Man 2, instantaneous loading and things like that in Ratchet and Clank, going from cinematic cutscenes right back into gameplay. Frame rate doubling can't be glossed over. Aside from load times, most have not been impressed this gen. You're speaking for the majority, and you can't do that because there's no way for you to know that most have not been impressed. You don't have the ability to speak to that. If anything, the sales of the PlayStation 5 and the stats that people pick performance over quality, I actually don't think that what you're saying is correct. I think people have been very pleased with what they've gotten. This results as evidenced by 3/4 of the users picking performance over quality. The thing that they were probably hoping to get from this gen, which is better frame rate. And we're seeing frame rate becoming a bit of a stigma in the conversation about games. Like, if you're not at 60, people get pretty frustrated, right? The point is, if you went to that video and said, this guy's a tech guy, this guy breaks down tech, and he's talking about generational leaps, okay, and he doesn't show you how far we've actually left this gen, that video is supremely lacking. It's supremely lacking in information. If I would have done that with the Series X, people would have rightly called me out. And I'd have been like, yeah, the PlayStation 5 Pro is so much better than the Series X. Yeah, look at the Series X. Look at Redfall. Look at Forza Motorsport. I would ignore the graphical showcases on the Series X, like Indiana Jones or Forza Horizon, or even the Oblivion remaster was very pretty in particular spots. If I completely ignore those and only show the worst examples, you would be well within your right to call me out and say, Lono, that's stacking the deck. That's a fallacy. You're stacking the deck. You're doing unfair comparisons here. You're doing false equivalency. You're doing all this stuff. So if you're going to come to consoles as a whole and you're going to say, we're not really getting the leaps that we're getting, and you don't actually showcase the leaps this gen, not only do you not show the leaps, you show the worst example? Like, as of late, Metal Gear's like the worst example of a game to show. It's not that pretty, and it's been very poorly optimized. Why would you show that of all games? Like, the Pro is clearly the best console you can get. It's a good piece of hardware. I'm now on a 5070 Ti. It's a leap smaller than I went from GTX 9 series to 10. Yes, quite clearly. These aren't leaps. These are jumps, hops even. If you look at Assassin's Creed Shadows on a Pro, and then you look at Assassin's Creed on a PS4, so the height of this gen versus last gen, then how could you possibly tell me that we haven't had a leap? Like turning on global illumination and doubling your frame rate, and we're like, yeah, that's not much of a leap there. Leap in performance, leap in visuals, not so much. I think you're when it comes to Assassin's Creed Shadows in particular, I think you're demonstrably wrong. I think what you're saying is objectively false. It's objectively false to look at global illumination in Shadows and tell me that's not a leap in visuals. I think you're actually objectively false. It's not a matter of opinion. I think what you're saying is completely incorrect. Yo, what's good, Charles Freeman? Happy birthday. I'm a man. I'm 40. Guys, it's Freeman's birthday. Let's celebrate it the way that we do. Dirty Bear, I forgot to thank you for your $5 super chat. Shinobi's original soundtrack's amazing. Neo City, North, South, East, West are sublime. Yuzo and T, these boys are bacon. Oh, man, I'm excited to play today. Like, I can't stress this enough. We were not getting anything at this degree of fidelity last gen. You weren't. Let me push the resolution on the Digital Foundry video. If you're going to try to tell me that we were getting this level of fidelity, this level of color saturation, this level of shadows, this level of lighting, this level of reflective surfaces, this level of performance, if you're going to sit here and tell me that this isn't a leap above the last gen, I don't know what to tell you. Last gen, this level of lighting wasn't even possible. It wasn't even a thing. It wasn't even a possibility to have this level of lighting previous gen. It wasn't even on the consoles. We're not talking about resolution. We're not talking even about frame rate. We're talking about lighting. Let me say this. It feels like you're saying, look at this ray tracing global illumination the Pro invented. I'm sitting here thinking I've had this for years. That would be called projection. I've not once said the Pro invented it. I've said, I'm speaking within the context of consoles. Oh my gosh. This is like a 2x4 to the forehead. This is headache inducing. We are speaking about generational leaps within consoles. I just said 4 different times we didn't have this last gen. This wasn't capable on the previous consoles. You couldn't do it. To say that the previous gen to now, we didn't get a visual leap, that level of ray tracing you didn't have on consoles back then. You want to invoke PC and ray tracing on PC, that's not the conversation. His video is literally about a developer saying, do we need a PS6? Okay, so we're talking about consoles. So what's the guy do? He pulls up leaps from console gen to console gen to console gen. Hence, the context of the discussion is, are we getting leaps between the console gens? And you could not get this level of fidelity, lighting, and detail previous gen. And if you did, you would have gotten terrible frame rate. I mean, it would have run like garbage. because the performance of the devices, the strength of the devices, was nowhere near capable of running stuff like this. Thank you for the 5-bomb, Jenny. Jenny's doing a 5-bomb on both platforms. She decides to give the milestone to YouTube, though, and gets us to 126. The reason that I'm being firm on this is because it continues to add logs to the fire of a false narrative. That, like, yeah, we didn't really get anything this gen. The Pro's a scam. This gen has been disappointing. You know, we just really aren't getting the lead. And then we're going to ignore, like, this level of lighting and fidelity, character detail, texture detail of her hair, her outfit, you know, the water systems that they put into these games. It wasn't possible before, and now it's possible, and the frame rate's 2 to 3 times higher. Hang on. We've even got to go to the parts where they do, like, where do they do the really, really good side-by-sides of the, hang on. I need my player controls back. That's balanced mode. I thought they just had like screenshots of what happened in the color when you turned off and on glow illumination. Is that a different that might be a different section, because there were sections where like the colors literally looked different. This isn't it. She wasn't in the screenshots that I'm thinking of. Wait, was it there? No, it was like these indoor screenshots. I remember we were looking and I was like, yeah, no, this is quality mode. That's why it doesn't look any different. Yeah, there were screenshots just like this that were showcasing what happens when you're able to turn on in performance mode, and then the other one when you're getting like a performance mode and you can't get it. I think it's a different video. I'm saying the improvements are less dramatic, which I think most people would agree with if they get out of their platform-tied feelings, which is just a form of ad hominem. You're claiming that my argument is because of platform-tied feelings. You're making it about me instead of my argument. That's a fallacious way to argue. You're making it about me. Like, oh yeah, he's got platform-tied feelings. The frick I do. I came from Xbox. I don't give a frick about the platform. I'm talking about the games. You couldn't get this last gen. You couldn't. I can't believe... Where was the thing? Who did it? I know Digital Foundry did it. It must be a separate video. They had a whole section of these screenshots where it was like side by side, right? I'm having two discussions. People are telling me about PC in the chat. Oh, well, I don't know who you're talking about. I thought you're talking about me. I was like, I'm not sitting here freaking saying things because I have platform-tied feelings. I have been genuinely impressed by what we've got this gen. I have been genuinely impressed by what the Pro has been capable of. And to see videos that create this notion that, like, yeah, we haven't really gotten leaps, and this has been a bit of a scam, and this has been disappointing, and then I see one more video driving home this notion that we didn't get leaps, and it doesn't show the leaps. It shows Metal Gear. And to say that, like, we didn't get a leap this gen versus last gen, and then you want to invoke PC. No. If you go to PS4 and you go to PS5 Pro, the differences are stark. I'm genuinely impressed by what the Pro has done. Changes none of my takes. But your takes are almost like a side issue, Zubair. His video was not about PC versus console. His video was not about that. His video was about this guy, Yoshi P, says, do we need a PlayStation 6? So he goes into, we used to get bigger leaps. Look at this video showcasing leaps, which is a terrible video to use because the comparisons are incredibly disingenuous. And then to showcase the ceiling of what's possible right now, what's the strongest console you can get right now, PS5 Pro, he shows Metal Gear. I don't know how you could watch a video like that and be like, you're really not showcasing what's possible this gen. If you're going to enter into the discussion about this generation of consoles and what's possible, you are absolutely not showing what's possible. You're leaving that completely out of the frame. You're going to a game that doesn't even look or run well on PC either. Like, that game is not a game that's emblematic of anything right now. It's not a symptom or an example or a demonstration of anything this gen. Metal Gear has got to be like the single worst example you could put in a video about generational leaps. Like, why would you even use that game? It doesn't make any sense. You're also forgetting about PSSR, which is a massive leap, even if it has not been fully optimized. It's just a big, if not larger than a lighting leap. The reason that the lighting leap is what we were focusing on is, to me, that added a visual improvement that was noticeable. It was very noticeable. And PSSR is going to be less noticeable because it's like you're getting, yes, resolution bumps, but really where PSSR shines is granting headroom so you get better frames per second. That's why when people took screenshots of like The Last of Us Part 2 from Mark Cerny's presentation, they're like, I don't see a difference. You're not going to see a difference. He was showing you quality and quality, and one was running at 60 and one was running at 30. If you don't watch it in motion, you don't get the comparison. Oh, she gave you little flyaways. So cute, girl. Maybe it'll be a little bit easier to brush now. Very pretty. I like it. Yo, what's good, Jay Bari? Most gamers that have a PS5 Pro are happy with the console. Only ones that don't have one are the ones complaining about it. Thank you for the 10 pounds. GBRC says, for one example, take ray tracing games on the PS5 Pro. They can run at 120 FPS at 4K with ray tracing. Formula 1, 2024 and 2025, and Gran Turismo 7 are two clear cases of that. And that's not a leap over PS4, LOL. Oh, are you saying that those are leaps over PS4, but nobody's looking at them is what you're saying, or that they should be looked at? Thank you, Dead, for 32 months. I appreciate it so much. Hang on. Yeah, there we go. Oh. PSSR is in its infancy. The rendering tech, the top flight GPUs are powered by DLSS or generation is old. What's good, Dan? Sorry, man, my allergies are driving me crazy this morning. Let's see here. I really want to find in my watch history, we had a video about this. And we looked at it, and the side-by-sides, once they turned on GI, it was absurd. I mean, it was like, where was that? I think it was this video. Hang on. Yep, this is it. Okay, so this again is where, and this is even on the Series X, this is just showing you that what global illumination does, right? Where is the section with the indoors, though? I don't think this is the right video either. I keep grabbing the wrong video. I think this is a good section. Now, if we show it in motion, you're going to lose frame rate, so we're not going to do that. But that's hugely important to the Pro. So the jump here in lighting, okay, this is a huge generational leap. You were not getting this level of lighting previous gen. You were not. If you look at this bamboo section especially, just the level of how many shadows are working here, the depth that it's adding, what it does to the color. Like if you look over here in the same section, just the color and how this just sort of gets all blended together and a bit of it's not monochromatic, but it's all very much within that shade of green. Over here, you're getting so much more going on in the color, right? And this is something that was huge on the Pro, because you're getting this level of lighting and you're getting 60 FPS. This is something I've really tried to hammer home for people, is it's like the fact that you can get this in your living room for $700 is significant. So when someone says Pro is a scam or we didn't get a leap this gen, I'm like, what in the heck are you talking about? How is this not a leap over PS4? How is this not a leap over the Xbox One? Like, this is a leap. To say we haven't had a leap and you show Metal Gear? Like, what? Now, you'll notice frame rate's going to be an issue when you compare quality to performance mode. This is why, I mean, right here, I mean, oops, that's not what I want. I want this. Okay, I need my thing back here. I thought there was a section where they did side-by-sides with the frame rate, but I don't think that they do. I'm having trouble finding the original video. There were these really, really great still shots that they used to showcase, like, just how much global illumination was doing for the game. Like, it was pretty significant. I mean, you were getting... hang on. This might be the video. Hang on. You were getting sections of the game that, like, you could literally see stuff that you couldn't see without it. I mean, it was pretty significant. I can't find the video. I don't know what it was. They did so many videos about AC Shadows, and I can't remember the one that we watched. I'll probably say marginal difference. We don't play screenshots. We play games in motion. He wasn't making a good point, though, Omar. Yeah, again, going to screenshots, like, the reason I was looking for screenshots of AC Shadows is because I was going to try to argue that level of fidelity is virtually non-existent. It's virtually non-existent right now. If you, not right now, I'm sorry. That level of fidelity is virtually non-existent if you go back to PS4 era. I think this is something that can be proven. You show me the best looking game from PS4, and I show you AC Shadows with global illumination, and it's not even a fair fight. The minute you can turn on something like that, it is a massive uptick. Now, the PC guys should be in agreement here. They should be like, yeah, we've had that for a while. It is great. It is game-changing. It is a leap. Now, if you're going to talk big picture and say, well, that level of fidelity and lighting has been on PC for a while, that's fair. I don't think anybody is debating that. What was being discussed in the video was console generations are not getting the leaps. Do we really need another one? Let's look at the leaps that have happened. And then the video doesn't look at any of the leaps that have happened. There was no ray tracing previous gen. Do you see what I'm saying? Consoles are downstream from PC. Yes, I think that's what ends up shading those types of videos is you're deep in PC land and you're viewing everything through that downstream lens of like, yeah, consoles are downstream, blah, 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 blah. So you're not going to even acknowledge the fact that, like, the Pro is doing stuff like, thank you, Tubbs Gaming. Look at this. Come on. This is the one in particular that I think really drives home the point. All right? This really drives home the point of what global illumination does to your game. Look at the differences in everything. I mean everything. Literally, the word global cannot be overstated here. The light touches everything, and it completely changes the level of fidelity and what the game looks like. Do you see what I'm saying? The image on the right, the image behind me. Brother, we didn't have games that looked like this with lighting and shadows previous gen. We didn't. And in here, a better one to showcase, a better one to showcase like shadows and lighting, not just like color, is something like this. Like the light's actually coming through the trees, hitting the ground, and creating like a genuine sense of sunlight, right? So this, to me, again, we did not get this level of fidelity on the PS4. We didn't. Lono goes on and on about ray tracing GI, but I'm a weirdo for being obsessed with path tracing. Okay, that's actually a really, really good thing to bring up, Zubair. Let's imagine that the PlayStation 6 gets path tracing, right? The dilemma in the conversation would be folks like Zuby are like, brother, I've been on that path tracing train for 4, 5, 6 years. Y'all are late. No. In the conversation, though, one gen to the next, we would say global illumination would be a leap, but path tracing would be a even bigger leap. To suddenly have that on a console would be a pretty big deal, right? That's what we got in the Pro. And that's why when I watched that video, I was just like, I don't understand. If you're actually going to invoke the idea of, let's entertain the idea. Do we need to go to another gen? Is this gen strong enough? We're getting depreciating returns anyways. We're not really getting big leaps. But then you're going to invoke ray tracing and neural processing, something that Mark Cerny has talked about as getting its birth on the Pro. And you're not going to look at what the Pro is doing with ray tracing. That's why I said the video is lacking. It's lopsided. It doesn't have all the information in it. It's a video with a gaping hole in it. Hang on, I've got some people to thank. A £5 tip from GRBC. I was impressed with the Pro so much, I bought a second Pro as a backup unit. And then Joker Quinn gifts a member and gets us to 128. Thank you so much. You guys are going to have to give me like 2 seconds. I got to open up the door. Okay. Lono is legit showing a screenshot right now. To argue screenshots don't matter, insanely dishonest. If you can't show a change in a screenshot, the change isn't significant enough. No, I think the point that Eugene is making is a different point. I was showing screenshots to argue we have received leaps in fidelity. I believe that's true. The point that Eugene was making is you have to show the games in motion. Because if you remember the PlayStation 5 Pro announcement from Mark Cerny, right? PS5 Pro announcement, Mark Cerny. There is a section of the video where they showcase The Last of Us. And there were people that took screenshots and said, I don't see a difference. And the problem was, you aren't going to see a difference. He was showcasing the game running in quality mode on both sides. Okay? So this section in particular, people went to Twitter with screenshots and said, I don't see a difference. Right? So watch. She drops down and then they give you the side-by-side. Okay? Of course you're not going to see a difference. These are both running at fidelity. You will not really notice the significance of the Pro until you unpause the video and you see how much more fluidly she moves on the right because it's at double the frame rate. So everything she does, the swooping of the camera, the running of her arms, it all looks smoother, right? That was the point Eugene was making. Now, we're talking about two completely different things. Eugene is correct. If you want to talk about generational leap and you only fixate on fidelity, you're being very one-sided. we have gotten significant leaps this gen in performance. Load times. Like, double the frame rate. Just think about that for just a second. Let's just think about double the frame rate. If right now you were on a rig and you're consistently getting 60 frames per second, and you can't really go beyond 60 frames per second, and you like to turn the resolution up, you like to turn ray tracing on, you like to turn on all the goodies, okay? If I came to you and I said, I want you to build me a rig that can do what your rig does, but I want double the frame rate. I want 120. You would say, listen, that's a big jump. You're going to have to really spend. If you want to turn the goods on, if you want high resolution, and you want to double your frame rate, that's not cheap. So to gloss over doubling the frame rate from the PS4 to the PS5, and then quality ray tracing modes having their frame rate doubled on the Pro, to just gloss over that, I think is a disservice to informing the consumer about what we actually are getting leaps in. It's extremely one-sided. It's like, well, we're just going to fixate on screenshots and resolution. And then, even when you're doing that, you're using really bad examples. You're not going to actually use examples like the ones that I've pulled up. Like, if you want to use screenshots and you want to talk about fidelity differences from one gen to the next, then why not pull up something like this? You want to use screenshots to show off the level of fidelity we're getting this gen. Why would you not pull up something that's displaying high resolution with global illumination turned on? The returns are diminishing, period. Okay. Let's take this into another field, Omar. If I tell you that our investments in the state of Ohio are getting diminishing returns, and I'm encouraging you to reconsider, right, our business in Ohio, and I show you the worst possible example of the diminishing returns we're getting from a business perspective, but I don't show you the other contracts in Ohio that are actually doing quite well, you would feel very misled. You would be like, now, wait a minute. Wait, we actually are getting returns in Ohio. We're actually getting some pretty good returns. We're getting diminishing returns year over year. We're getting diminishing returns year over year, yes, but we're still getting returns. And you're using the worst example to tell me that we're getting, diminishing returns? You're responding to something I'm saying to someone else. Well, right, but the point of that video is to talk about diminishing returns, is it not? You said this earlier in the conversation. Like, we're not arguing in a vacuum, right? Earlier in the conversation, you said that he was trying to establish we're getting diminishing returns, and that's a fact. This is not the first time you've said that this morning. So, if that's what that video was intended to do, the best way to show diminishing returns would be to say, this is the ceiling of what you can get right now this gen. And I don't think you could argue with a straight face, with like AC shadows running behind you, with global illumination turned on at 60 frames per second. If that's running behind you and you try to convince people, yeah, this really isn't a big leap compared to last gen, I think the average person would be like, what do you mean? That looks incredible. If you actually did a side-by-side, like take... when did Origins come out? AC Origins release date, 2017. Perfect example. Take AC Origins, a late gen release, right? There was only 3 years left in the gen when AC Origins dropped. Run AC Origins on a PS4 and put it side by side with AC Shadows on a Pro with GI turned on at 60. And brother, the average gamer is going to say, that's a great jump. That's a pretty nice leap. Because we are getting leaps. Are the leaps smaller? Nobody's debating whether or not they're smaller. But to act as if we're just not getting them anymore, and again, you're going to showcase something that really gives a false impression. Metal Gear is probably the single worst example you could pick. I can't think of a worse example right now of how to showcase what we can do this gen. That just seems so, it just seems so lopsided. But that game? Come on. I thought we were debating that they were smaller. The degree to which they're smaller, though, is subjective. And if you look at what's possible with PS5 Pro and ray tracing, it actually adds credence to what he says in the video, which is why it kind of frustrated me. I'm like, you're missing a significant aspect of this conversation. That image quality matters more than just native resolution jumps. And he could have shown AC Shadows and be like, this is a great example of why getting better ray tracing actually improves image quality and actually creates a leap in fidelity. And actually then would say, yeah, new hardware is going to be able to do more with this kind of stuff. So yes, new hardware is going to be necessary. It's going to be necessary. The global illumination in AC Shadows is like definitive proof that fixating on native resolution is the wrong conversation to have, which is so weird to me. Like he's right there. He's showing how we're not getting the big jumps in native resolution. He starts talking about ray tracing, and he doesn't show what the Pro can do with ray tracing. It's like, I don't understand. The thing that you want to have happen has already happened. Yes, PlayStation 6 is likely going to do more with neural processing, Project Amethyst, machine learning, AI, etc. It's going to do more. We know that. But we've already got what I would consider to be a pretty good jump, a pretty good leap in the realm of, hey, we got a console that can do quite a bit with ray tracing here. That's actually pretty impressive. So the entire conversation started because I said this video it's not a good video, because if this is the subject that you're going to broach, there should be significant due diligence done if you're a hardware platform and you're a tech YouTuber and you've not adequately looked into what the hardware can do that you're speaking about. He even makes a remark about like the getting like marginal improvements or something when he's got I don't want to put words in his mouth. There's a section when he's got Metal Gear on the screen, and he speaks as if like the expectation is that the Pro is going to give very little bumps, and I'm like, what? What are you talking about? And 2 singles come in from Stone Spire and gets us to 130. We're 20 away from a milestone. We haven't had a 20 bomb yet this week, and Stone Spire's trying to bait one. If your problem is just that he isn't showing it on screen, then fine. I think we are at a better understanding. My take was leaps are down across all hardware virtually. Did the thing, Counter thank you, Jester. Here's the thing, though. Okay? That has nothing to do with my criticism of the video. I don't know why you guys. 132. Thank you, Joker Quinn. My criticism of the video was not, oh, he's wrong. The leaps aren't getting smaller. They're getting bigger. Do you see how that's a bit of a shadow box? It's like you're almost shadow boxing. It's like my criticism of the video was not, oh no, the leaps are huge. He's wrong. His thesis and his premise is wrong, that we're getting smaller leaps. No, his thesis and his premise is correct. We are getting smaller leaps from hardware. Okay? That's correct. Investigating that is where his video falls off the ledge. It's like you didn't actually investigate the leaps that we have received. If you're going to examine the level of leap we have received on the Pro to establish that it's a smaller leap, you have failed to do that because you haven't actually looked at what the thing is capable of. You looked at Metal Gear. Do you understand now what I'm saying? Like, I wasn't debating the premise of the video or the thesis of the video. I was taking issue with the investigative nature of it. It's like, what? Yes, leaps are smaller, but good golly. Like, you didn't even look at the actual leaps we got. You looked at a bad game. Do you see? Like, I was like, I told you guys, my spidey sense was tingling as soon as I opened the video. I was like, I don't know, man. You guys say he's good. I trust your judgment. I don't know about this video. And then I watched it this morning out of morbid curiosity, and I was like, I was right. This is not a good video. Premise and thesis are fine. Investigation, very lacking. So why isn't Maya or Omar's Spidey sense going off? Because I think you guys watched it within the context of a larger conversation about leaps within hardware, and since you're seeing the Pro as catching up, I think it shades your interpretation of his commentary and his investigation. Not in a dishonest way. I just think that you guys are in a different context. You're kind of like, yeah, the Pro's catching up. You literally kind of did it today in the argumentation, Zoob. You were like, yeah, but you're kind of catching up. That's baby. You called it baby ray tracing. Like, you have sort of a diminished view of the Pro, so you don't suspect anything's amiss when he kind of diminishes the Pro. You're just kind of like, yeah, the Pro is diminished. It's playing catch up. Do you see? Like, I think in the larger conversation, PC doesn't matter because he was speaking about gen to gen to gen, PS1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In that conversation, speaking to people who have felt that the leaps have been smaller on console, invoking PC is nonsensical. It doesn't have any bearing on the conversation. It's like, well, yeah, you guys are always going to have stuff before consoles do. Wired Rope says, I want to know why they think he is an authority. I don't think anybody established him as an authority. I think they said that he makes good videos. I don't know if there's been a statement about his authority. I'm trying to say that he's one of us. He's coming from that point of view. He's one of us speaking to one of us. It's like a dev talking to a room full of devs, talking about over-delivery. Okay, Zoob. I talk to console gamers primarily. Okay? I could get into some pretty bad water if I made a video about PC hardware. Could I not? I would lack a robust knowledge of certain things. I'd have blind spots. That video, I think, demonstrates that when you want to come into the console conversation and you want to talk about the generational leaps that we have got, he's got blind spots. He seemingly doesn't know that the Pro has put on an impressive tour de force in fidelity bumps, in ray tracing bumps. That to me is what shocked me the most about the video. I was like, man, he's all about ray tracing. He's kind of preaching something I've been preaching about ray tracing. And he's not actually showing what the Pro can do with ray tracing. That's like a glaring absence in the video. It's like, this matters to you, but you don't seem to even be aware of what the Pro's capable of with respect to ray tracing. And it actually adds to his argument. I do. I think global illumination in Assassin's Creed Shadows demonstrates his point beautifully, that advances in ray tracing are going to be sort of the next battleground of, like, this is where games are going to look more impressive. This is where you're going to get those jumps in fidelity, because you can't just keep pushing native resolution. It's like, my gosh, he could have landed the plane so well with that point if he would have just shown one of the breakdowns of that game in particular. It's like, what? You show Metal Gear. It's like, yeah, Metal Gear looks, as if you're trying to show off the Pro, you would never show anybody Metal Gear. You would never show anybody Metal Gear. I didn't intend to get stuck on this today, but, you know, the conversation about Call of Duty skins wasn't really going anywhere. And thank you everybody who watched the Bungie upload this morning. It's doing really, really well. I was a little nervous about that. All tech is improving everywhere, consoles and PCs alike, so why the hate towards consoles? I would not classify the video as hate. I said I felt like the video was incomplete. That was my point. I was not overly critical. I didn't say anything mean or unkind about him or his video. I said, I think that video is incomplete. It's severely, I think, lopsided, and it's lacking pretty important information. Like, the information is severely pertinent to the conversation that he's having, and it just isn't there. And I'm just like, I don't know why you would leave this out. Petros says, be positive. Yote's here soon. Nobody's being negative. We're having a debate. And nobody was being negative. I don't think the Call of Duty skin talk even started yet. I've got planned segments, don't worry. Don't worry. It's so warm right now in here because the AC's not cycling because it's like 68 degrees outside. I'm dying. I need a fan down here. Dude ignored Lost Soul Aside. I mean, no one can really talk about Lost Soul Aside yet, right? I don't think there's any... I don't think there's been a review embargo or anything. I just really want to know why of all the games he showed, he decided to show Metal Gear. When I was watching it, Trill, I honestly thought he was about to show, like, this is the worst example, this is the best example. That's literally what I thought he was going to do, and then he never did, and I was like, Metal Gear is how you're going to showcase, like, the Pro? Like, what? Like, we're at a great point visually with games. Returns will slow. We have been at a great place for years, which is why people don't see it, obviously. People can even see Black Myth Wukong as frame gen, which is obvious. Oh, they can't see it's frame gen. You can't expect them to notice these other changes. Well, here's the thing, though, Omar. Anytime I've shown those AC shadows side by sides, we've had an awful lot of people who say they don't care about this stuff, and they don't really, they just want a game, and they're like, oh, wow, I can see the difference. So, I don't know, brother. I think what the Pro is capable of doing with ray tracing in particular, while maintaining good frame rate, I think that's the thing to show people. Like, that's where the jump is this gen. That's why that video frustrated me. I was like, what do you mean? We've got a big leap. We got a big leap in ray tracing. This has been great. And you're not talking about it. Like, that to me has been the biggest win this gen has been ray tracing on the Pro. That's the biggest win for fidelity. You know what I mean? You're coping, Lono? What, you don't do a video showing the good and the bad with the Pro? Huh? Lighting is like music. Most people can't verbalize what they like, but they know it when they see it or hear it. A lot of guys you also had to get into it with the first time we had the Shadows discussion. They tried to say the Series S looks just as good, if you remember. Oh, okay, but I'm not talking about like console warriors who speak in bad faith. We've shown people those screenshots of AC Shadows. I showed my friends. I had screenshots on my phone, and I showed my friend just a photo mode screenshot of AC Shadows, and he was like, he couldn't believe it. He's like, that looks real. And I'm like, yep. Lighting makes all the difference. Now here's the thing. To what Zubair is saying, nobody could verbalize why it looks better, but they would be able to tell it looks better. Right? If I showed somebody the side-by-sides of those lighting differences in AC Shadows, they might not be able to explain the why the colors look better, why the image looks better. They can't verbalize it, but they would be able to tell me which one looks better. Like if I pulled up the image of that we just had up, if I pulled up this image and I said, which image do you think looks more realistic? Which image do you think looks better? Which image do you think has better lighting or colors or whatever? It doesn't matter how you ask it. I think you would get very, very universal agreement. I think you'd get even more universal agreement when you would go to screenshots like this one. I think you'd get even more universal agreement. If you're like, yeah, which one looks better? They can't tell you why, but they would instinctively know that the image on the right looks better. They would say, well, of course, the photograph. See, exactly. And this to me is where the conversation about this continually, I think, is always just sort of like very, very simplified. It's like, we got leaps. People aren't acknowledging them. And I'm not saying there's an agenda, But there are definitely folks that are like, yeah, you know, they want to downplay the Pro for whatever reason. I don't think that's what he was doing. But I think there was just blind spots in the video. The blind spots in the video seeming to me being just not aware of what Digital Foundry has said about the Pro and what it's delivering. It's delivering generational leaps, according to them. If you have John Linneman saying that, like, Burning Shores is like playing on a high-end PC, and then they describe AC Shadows with the GI turned on as a generational leap, I really think that needs to be present in that conversation that he was having. That not being present in the conversation just tells me that's a blind spot. That's like if I start speaking on something in the PC realm and people are like, oh, actually, Lono, blah, 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 da-da-da, that's how this works. That's been going on for a while. And I would be like, oh, I didn't know that. That's not my territory. That's not my world. I think that's what happened in this video. I think he stepped into that conversation and wasn't aware of the full breadth of what has actually been achieved on Pro, because why would, if that's not what you're playing and that's not what you're gaming, if you're not doing breakdowns of performance on consoles and like side-by-side videos, that's out of the frame for him. And that's fine, but that's where my criticism came from. My criticism was not glazing the PS5 Pro. It was, what the heck? Like, you're using a terrible example. And I don't like Yoshi P's commentary, because he's the guy that said that, you know, Final Fantasy 16 was going to show off the power of the PS5. There are so many comments on this Bungie video I did. I got to respond. Reacting to a comment made years ago for current content is lazy and stupid. Way to put the effort in. So because something is old, we can't comment on it. He is the new head of the franchise. It is super relevant. It's super relevant. Like, the guy that made the GDC presentation about Destiny and Bungie is now the head of the franchise. You know what I mean? The problem with Bungie is they are promoting from within their own house, but that's bad in the current situation. Someone new from outside. They don't have a new CEO. That could be someone from Sony. Yeah, they don't have a new CEO. He's just head of the franchise. So Justin Truman was not given the same title as Pete Parsons. I think that's incredibly informative in like how this could be basically a takeover. I don't think anybody would be angry if they weren't also taking away things that we paid for. For some reason, y'all are completely glossing over that. Not glossing over, just looking at the actual statements made and what it led to. Like, I'm not trying to gloss over the fact that they took content away from you. Over delivery, more like overpriced. They gave less for the same price. This is true. And the blueprint part is more pertinent to that. I think the blueprint part of his conversation is more pertinent to the fact that they were charging more for less. They got into a very blueprint style of delivery, and I think that's ultimately what harmed it. 11 years in is disingenuous. Destiny 1 was not the same. No, it's not. What do you mean? It's a live service game. It's not disingenuous. It's a live service game. Destiny as a live service game has survived 11 years. Like, that's factual. It's disingenuous to say they've turned it around, because I hope you know this as well, that the way they turned it around wasn't by doing something new and radical. It was literally by putting the game back to a state that was close to Destiny 1. I was speaking to 2018. Not now. They saved the game back then, and it was highly praised during that time. They 100% saved the game. Like, Destiny 2 almost died. To not acknowledge that they turned it around, I think is completely not accurate. They 100% turned Destiny around. They were in danger of the game going away, like, entirely. They don't need a new CEO. Sony needs gullible control at this point. I think he meant to say total control. I think text-to-speech got him. 14 minutes in, this guy leaves a comment. I'll go as far as to say that franchise fatigue doesn't exist. In every case I hear that phrase, the fans can point to several things that have deteriorated, proof being those fans will often enjoy watching or playing the older content. I think franchise fatigue leads to less tolerance of problems. It is interrelated. I think it's interrelated. So, like, if you get franchise fatigue, you're going to be less tolerant of issues, problems, or shortcomings. When you don't have fatigue, you'll overlook those things. You'll be like, well, you know, we didn't get as many guns. But if you're having fun, you'll overlook. But once fatigue settles in, everything irritates you. You're like, this sucks, that sucks, not enough guns, not enough content, blah, blah, blah. I guess they hate the game and hate the player base. Why? Why would you think they hate the game and the player base? Doesn't make any sense. They've been using the blueprint for years. They copy and paste everything with a few weeks to say something is new. This just guy full of it. The game is cooked. Who is full of it? I literally say that is what led to the game being where it is now. That's like, I literally say that in the video. That's what brought them to the point that they are here now. I think Lono forgot Hogwarts on the Pro is actually impressive. I go to specific instances where guys that comment on the tech, its capabilities, and then the evidence of its capabilities have said things like Burning Shores on the Pro is like playing on a high-end PC. Assassin's Creed Shadows with global illumination turned on is a generational leap. I go to those statements in particular because I believe they're a direct repudiation against the notion that the Pro's a scam, it's not impressive, and we're not getting leaps. I think those are very, very shallow, uninformed opinions. I don't think those opinions are robust. I don't think they've looked at the larger picture. Every time we have this conversation, I'll say something to the effect of, if you right now had a PC that was capped at 30 FPS because you liked turning the resolution up and the ray tracing on, and I told you that you could build a new PC that could do those things and it would double your frame rate, and I told you you could do it for $700, you would look at me like I had two heads. You'd be like, that's not possible. You're not going to take my experience now and double the frame rate for $700. You're not. As a piece of technology, the Pro is impressive, and that's not glazing. I think that is a technically accurate thing for me to say. What it is doing with respect to fidelity and performance, both firing at very good levels for its price, in the larger picture of technology and what you would spend, it is an impressive device. And I don't feel like a lot of the times when it gets either denigrated or denigrated or called a scam or whatever, I think it's very lacking to act like this is not a significant moment in the history of consoles. In the history of consoles, I'm not talking about the history of games or ray tracing. In the history of consoles, the Pro is very impressive. Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, $750 now. That's right. I think it's an impressive device for that reason. The Pro's inclusion of a generational leap in software results is a massive improvement relative to the base console. And that, I think, is what I try to kind of harp on, is that if you're telling people we're getting diminishing returns, what did I say about Forbidden West at the beginning of this gen? I said I think we're really close to the ceiling. I think we're close to the ceiling. I didn't say we were at the ceiling. I said I think we're close to the ceiling. I don't think you're going to end the PS5 gen and be like, oh, wow, Forbidden West looks like crap in comparison to these late-gen games. I think Burning Shores kind of demonstrates what I'm talking about. Burning Shores on the PS5 versus Forbidden West on the PS5. Even Burning Shores on the Pro versus base Forbidden West on the Pro. The difference is there, but you've got to really pay attention to see it. Now, keep in mind, I'm speaking within the gen when I say that. A lot of the times you would start a generation of console, you'd get to the end of that generation, and it'd be like, whoa, the games look so much better. My commentary has always been within the gen of PS5, I don't think we will see big leaps. The Pro, at some level, kind of proves me wrong with global illumination, because I would argue that's a pretty big dadgum leap. It looks really good. But even within the gen, we would say, yes, that's a nice big leap, that's a nice big improvement. And then if you go previous gen, you widen the gap to compare. AC Shadows on a Pro is a huge step up from stuff we were playing on PS4. It's a huge step up. I think that that's something that can be demonstrated with lighting, fidelity, detail, the amount of, the density of foliage, the amount of NPCs on the screen, size of the world. Performance, I think, has to be discussed. Frame rate has to be discussed. I think that is a very fair and accurate thing to point out, that I actually think we're downplaying the leap, because we're taking something that is true, that the leaps aren't as big, right? The leaps aren't as big. This is true. I think we're sort of casting that broad brush and acting like, yeah, whole gen has been disappointing. We're just not seeing leaps anymore. We're taking like a nugget of truth and we're like magnifying it to this overwhelming shadow on this gen to be like, oh, it's just been so disappointing and we just really aren't getting improvements. And I'm like, I don't agree. And if you watch that homie's video, that's what you would conclude at the end. You'd be like, what did we really pay for this gen? Spider-Man barely looks better, and look at Metal Gear. No one's walking away from that video and thinking, oh yeah, no, we've got some great games, some great leaps this gen. What other game is doing that leap that you're talking about? Compare Death Stranding 2 to anything from the PS4 era. It looks incredible. Thank you, Noir Venom, with your Prime in 5 months. I appreciate it. Compare Gran Turismo 7. Compare Ragnarok, Burning Shores, Spider-Man 2, Death Stranding 2, AC Shadows. All of these games look incredible compared to what we were doing on PS4. I mean it. I'm like, I feel like these games look really, really good. I don't understand. Are we saying that the PS5 leaps ahead of the PS4? Isn't that obvious? The debate would be that we're getting smaller leaps, which at one level is true. The most accurate statement is the leaps are not as standout in screenshots, and that's not really an accurate statement. You can easily see the improvements. Acting like everything is bad is no different than looking at very small lists of truly exceptional titles and acting like that's the norm. Well, I mean, that would be a straw man because I never said that's the norm. I said we are getting leaps. Not every game is going to shoot for leaps, brother. Silksong's not going to do that. Astrobot's not going to do that. Like, plenty of games are not going to set their sights on high levels of graphical improvements and lighting improvements, but we are seeing leaps is the only point that I'm making. Again, if you're going to try to claim the leaps are smaller, you should be going to the best examples to say, this is what's possible. Isn't that what you would do on a PC? You would say, this is path tracing, reflective surfaces, global illumination, 4K. Throw the dadgum kitchen sink at your rig, and you'd be like, this is the height that we can get on PC right now. You wouldn't use a bad game as an example of what PCs can do. How good would Soakson look on a 4080 OLED? BRB, gotta go buy a 4080 OLED. An OLED, yeah. Like, do you see? Like, if I was trying to argue that hardware in PC land isn't getting big leaps anymore, and I showed you Metal Gear running on a really strong rig, what would you say to me? You would say, that's a terrible example, Lono. Nobody would accept that. Nobody would accept that level of argumentation. If I was like, yeah, we're not getting the hardware leaps that we used to. These guys are paying thousands of dollars for PCs. Oh, and look at how Metal Gear runs. Every PC master race person within a mile radius would be ravenously telling me, well, that's a terrible game and it's optimized poorly and you got to look at this game with path tracing. It'll make your eyeballs bleed. Like, they would storm the castle and tell me that it was bad argumentation if I did that. Yeah, we're just not getting the leaps that we used to get on hardware, man. These guys spend thousands of dollars on their PCs, and look at what kind of games they get. Look at Metal Gear. People would rightly call me out and say, that's bad argumentation. Now, come on now. You wouldn't let me do that. You'd call me to the mat instantly, as you should. That would not be a very good argument. It's 5 years into the gen. You got to admit it don't look good for consoles. I don't have to admit anything. What do you mean? What's not looking good for consoles? Switch 2 breaking records. PlayStation 5 maintaining with the PS4 sales trajectories without a mid-gen price drop. Their most profitable gen ever. What exactly doesn't look good for consoles right now? Five years in, these consoles should be running at their best. Okay, that's a platitude. You're not giving me any information here. What do you mean? What's not running? What's not running at their best right now? Every exclusive and first-party game I have played, with the exception of 2, Rise of the Ronin and Final Fantasy 16. Those were not first-party studios, but they were exclusives. For a time. They were timed exclusives. They were console exclusives, okay? Those are the only 2 that didn't run very well. Everything else that I have played, if it was an exclusive, second party, or a first party studio, they have run incredibly well. And I have had a great time with all of them. Whether it was Stellar Blade, Helldivers 2, Death Stranding 2, Ragnarok, Forbidden West, Spider-Man 2, they all look and run incredible. Black Myth, I said exclusives second and first party. I'm not counting multiplats because multiplats are always going to have a litany of issues. Like Black Myth is a very particular game for very particular reasons, didn't run well. He's talking about the consoles, okay? So PlayStation's sort of like ownership of the console and what the console promised. I'm not going to hold them accountable for some third-party game launching with a bunch of problems. Spider-Man 2 had issues at launch that were largely overstated and misrepresented. There were a few minor bugs in Spider-Man 2. Like, almost every game launches with some issues and some bugs. Like Spider-Man 2, that's your indictment. That's your like, oh yeah, this gen. Let's go back to your original statement. We're 5 years in. You said you got to admit it doesn't look good for consoles. Really? So is Spider-Man 2 still having tons of issues? There were a few minor issues at launch, a few weird bugs. There were people literally faking bugs on Twitter, by the way. They'd like go into photo mode and fake things. Spider-Man barely had issues at launch. That's what I'm saying. Spider-Man 2 did not have significant issues at launch. Like, come on, dude. They were pretty minor issues. For a world that size and the amount of things that you could do, open world games are always going to have some jank. They're always going to have some jank. That's just going to happen. Again, I don't think you're not supporting your premise, which was that, well, we're 5 years in, and you got to admit it doesn't look good for consoles. Why? One random first-party game... No, not one random. One first-party game had a couple of minor issues that were patched relatively quickly? Forgive me, it's my perspective. Your perspective doesn't seem informed by anything, because if it was informed by things, you would be putting that in my chat right now. Like, my perspective is that we've had a great run of first-party games and exclusives, and I can rattle them off very quickly. My perspective is we've had really good graphical and performance leaps on the PS5 Pro, and I can immediately give you examples. See, my perspective is informed by things. Your perspective doesn't seem to be informed by anything. You just said, well, we're 5 years in. You got to admit it doesn't look good for consoles. Why? What's your argument? Like, what brought you to that conclusion? There's got to be like a breadcrumb trail that got you to say what you said. What are those things? What are the things that inform that perspective? It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get why people say this thing in particular, like that this gen has sucked, it's disappointing, you know, the PS5 Pro is a scam, or the PS5 Pro has been underwhelming. And I'm always like, okay, what brought you to this conclusion? What is it? I don't understand. If you ask me for my perspective on something, I'm going to give it to you, and I'm going to have this wealth of supporting things that brought me to that conclusion. Yeah, I think the PS5 Pro has been impressive. Really? Why? The vents are cool? No, I'd be like, here's all the reasons why I think it's impressive. Like, just a list of things that brought me to this perspective. This gen hasn't been disappointing. Well, it has been for one side, but not for the side on PlayStation. Why? And I would list all the games that I played as what brought me to that conclusion. We've had cooler events on PC for years. Listen, Zubair, I don't know why you waste time on arguing about these things when you could just point out RGB. Like, that's really where you win. You guys have way cooler RGB and fans and stuff. I mean, we don't get any of that on console. I don't know. That's really the flex. I don't know why you don't. That's the argument, isn't it? Like, I don't know why you're out here talking about ray tracing and path tracing. You know what I'm saying? You talk about that RGB. Are you saying the vents are not cooling or not cool? Oh my gosh. Butters. You gotta take the day off. Take the day off, Butters. Listen, if you guys have never been here before, that's what I love about this community. We can have a knockdown, drag out discussion. Nobody made it personal and called anybody a doo-doo head or anything like that. And I've got a video on Bungie right now. I'm going to reply to some more of the comments, and then I'm going to go through my sections for the video about skins are killing games, PlayStation's crappy refund policy, and Herman Hulst's remarks about live service wanting to fail and fail cheap. We're going to be taking a look at that. And I really want to start reacting to videos. I'm considering doing a reaction to the video that spurred on this entire debate. I also watched an LD video this morning that I really want to react to. I think I might start putting reaction content into Member Plus streams. And then I may not unlist them. They may vanish. Because I really want folks who pay for the content to get content. And if you are not, you know, I want you to feel a little bit like, oh man, maybe I do want to support and get into some extra content. I'm considering is all I'm saying, okay? So, Vosser says, Reforge Gaming, your videos always hit well for me. Your tone, analysis, skills, and critical thinking are always top-notch and on point. Thank you for making this video. I'm still listening to the video, but I wanted to show much-needed appreciation. Well, I appreciate that. He's just reading it, so I don't believe him. He is from Bungie, so I don't believe him no more. I don't believe him. Okay. I don't think anyone was arguing that he's wrong in saying that over-delivery sets the bar high in expectations. Yeah, he's correct. Over-delivery sets the bar high, but that doesn't justify under-delivery. He's right, but that's still the problem. What led to under-delivery was the blueprint model and data, not his comment about over-delivery. This is where I think people miss the forest for the trees in that conversation. What Justin Truman said about over-delivery is not what led to the issue. What led to the issue was they went too firm into blueprint data-driven, and it became all about retention. It became all about retention. The game's soul is just not there anymore. The passion's not there anymore. Live service games aren't train stations, they're amusement parks. Also, he said this after they dropped Lightfall. What? Lightfall was 2023. This talk was 2022. That's not correct. It's utter nonsense and completely irrelevant to the current situation. The fact that we're angry has nothing to do with over-delivery. We're angry because what they're delivering is simply bad. I don't defend them. Watch the second half. What led to where we are now is discussed in this video. You didn't even watch the video. If you think I'm defending Bungie in the video, you didn't watch the video. 1 raid, 2 dungeons and strikes in Crucible and Gambit maps should be the standard, not the exception. Bungie's constantly under-delivering. You are proving his point, sadly. You're proving his point that, like, you think some mythical standard is what they should deliver every time, and I just think there's no way they can do that. There's no way they can conceivably do that. You will get no new content and you will like it. We remove grapple and you will like it. Okay, yeah, that's a completely different subject. That's funny, but I guess we're just lying now. How much is Bungie paying you? There's a difference between setting expectations and going from, all right, put a solid effort in, to doing the absolute bare minimum. Calling me a shill for Bungie is probably the single dumbest thing I have ever read on the internet, and you have some steep competition. Do you even know who I am? Do you even know who I am? Like, like, that is the dumbest thing I have probably ever read. It's like, do you know who I am? You familiar with my history with Bungie? Like, all right. So don't do a good job because people might actually expect you to keep doing a good job. Do what you can repeat. That's what he said. He said, do what you can repeat. Like, you're banned from D2, and you're dumb. There you go. Is Lono a quintuple agent for Bungie? I am. I've been running the long con this whole time. Yeah, I'm on the payroll. I mean, really, that's how it works, right? You get canceled, arguably lose, probably in the long term, millions of dollars, you know, potentially setting up my children with generational wealth. You lose all of that, getting canceled. And the long con is that 5 years later, you come out with a video defending them to your much smaller audience, you know? It's a really good strategy. You guys should try it, you know? If you only knew how great this has been. If you only knew how wonderful this as an experience has been, you know. Bungie shill. That's a new one. Delete the player. Final delivering the medium should be 3 strikes done. It's clearly over-delivering in Bungie's eyes. When has Bungie ever over-delivered? Nothing proved. I don't know. Big DLCs kept setting expectations that they couldn't meet the next year. I don't know. They've had some pretty big DLCs, and then they couldn't meet those expectations the next time around. Like, the Dreadnought is an example. Like, you weren't getting a Dreadnought every year. You weren't. You weren't getting Forsaken every year. You weren't getting those big locations and those insane raids every year. Like, that's literally... His point is proven. The community proves his point so strongly by, like, their response year after year. They were every other year with big DLCs. That's exactly right. Like, they could never follow up a big DLC with another really big DLC the next year. It was always a bit of an up and down. Always. And the big ups were usually efforts to save things. Especially Taken King and Forsaken. Like, we have to deliver greatness or we're done. And then you're never getting that 12 months later. That's why he says, like, it has to be repeatable. If it's not repeatable, then your next piece of content will be judged against whatever you just did. Define over-deliver. When any company makes something and it's successful, they don't come out and say, don't expect this quality every time. We don't want to over-deliver. This comment reeks bait and switch. He is literally saying Team A may have more bandwidth, and then Team B's work will be judged against that. Like, he literally talks about that in the video. Like, one team might have more bandwidth and they can deliver more, and then everybody else is going to be judged against that. Like, look at what happened with the Menagerie and Vicarious Visions. Like, that season of Opulence, other seasons were judged against that season. Why? Because it was great. And they had extra bandwidth. And Vicarious Visions probably didn't just have extra bandwidth, they had extra time. Then you walk into Season of the Drifter, and you're like, what the frick is this? Like, literally what he says in the video is absolutely proven by the community every single year and the response to content. And yeah, that doesn't justify under-delivery. I don't justify under-delivery. I don't. It was Black Armory, Drifter, then the Menagerie. Sorry, I'm getting the order wrong, but you know what I'm saying, Eugene. Like, Menagerie as a season, future seasons were judged against it. What was the one where we were in the public spaces throwing balls? Season of the War Mind or something? The frick? I don't even know. Proving the point with seasons 2, good season, bad season, good season. Right. But generally speaking, Season of Opulence, other seasons were judged against Opulence. It was like, why can't you give us that? Ball throwing, got to be more specific. This is true. This guy says, how is under-delivering serving them now? This has to be the stupidest video I've ever seen. Didn't watch the whole video. I literally talk about what is more concerning in the second half and how it led to where the game is now. Why were they losing players? Could it be under-delivery? Ignorant take. They survived by being bought twice. Didn't watch the second half of the video. Your last comment is so significant. Mechanical neuter and bland structures has led to bad games in the future. Yeah, indeed. Like, nobody's getting to the second half of the video. By this logic, no more train solves all problems, which is what Bungie seems to be doing. I think they wanted a way out from Destiny. I think they wanted a way out from Destiny. I think they were done with it. They were like, yeah, we don't want to do Destiny anymore. We do not want to do Destiny anymore. Bungie should use Sony to come out with dedicated Destiny console that has nothing but Destiny on it. All DLC, all seasonal content. That sounds idiotic. What are you talking about? How are people not understanding what he's saying exactly? I mean, we have been seeing this in practice over the years with less quality, more bugs, more crashes, less content, each expansion less versus the last before it. To say people are not understanding, misunderstanding feels more like a straw man argument. I think people are mad because they see how Destiny has been. The second half of the video shows where the real problem lies. The second half of the video shows where the real problem lies. It's not a lack of over-delivery. It's the fact that they went very blueprint data-driven. Like, that's, people are missing the forest for the trees here. It's not a problem for a live service game to say, don't over-deliver. Establish patterns that you can repeat. You want to be able to continue to deliver so that people don't feel like they're getting crap. They did not suddenly say, we're going to start under-delivering, and that's how the game got to where it is. That's a superficial understanding of the trajectory of that game. Good golly. I don't even play the game, and I understand that better. This game landed where it was because they took it way too far. They said, it's got to be blueprint, which ends up robbing your game of passion and substance and excitement. It's like blueprint. What is it? Data-driven. So everything is structured around engagement. Everything is structured around retention. That's what has killed Destiny. It's not that they said, oh, it's time for us to start under-delivering. He was establishing that if you over-deliver, you're sentencing future content to death if you over-deliver. The fact, listen to what people are saying, and they prove him right. The fact that when they went blueprint and data-driven and it robbed the game of substance and excitement, what did people do? They compared the game now to the game back then, proving him correct, that if you do great things now and you start to do less than later, you're going to be judged against your greatest hits, and that's going to be death for your game. The audience is literally proving him correct, that you need to deliver something repeatable. They went full blueprint data-driven. They didn't say, let's under-deliver. They went too far down the line of thinking of, well, everything needs to be a blueprint. Having something be repeatable doesn't mean it needs to be blueprint or data-driven. It could just be repeatable within the realm of bandwidth. What are you able to do? What are your capacities? Do you want to know why they went blueprint? They went blueprint because they were moving people to other projects, and the best way to work under the constraints of lowered bandwidth for Destiny was for them to go blueprint. That was the whole point. Like, they started to move people off of Destiny because they wanted to move away from Destiny, and in so doing, they had to rely too heavily on the blueprint because you didn't have as many people working on the game. Do you see? Like, I think people are like, oh, yeah, they didn't over-deliver, and that's what killed the game, is they're now under-delivering. No. They wanted to build roads away from Destiny. So they spun up all these incubation projects. Destiny had less bandwidth, and because of that, they leaned far too heavily on the blueprint, so everything started to feel the exact same as the last time. That's not under delivery, that's an over-reliance on blueprint because you've now taken bandwidth from the game. If you can't get to that level of diagnosis, you're just going to say, the dummy said they shouldn't over-deliver, and that's why the game sucks, because that's their philosophy. That was their philosophy in 2018, which is what ended up saving the game. They ended up establishing rhythms of bandwidth and delivery and parallel development and different teams and different seasons, which from 2018 to 2020 was some of the best times that game has had. Within the context of what the man said, like that's how they saved the game. We got to be able to do repeatable stuff. Rob818 with 30 months. Thank you so much for renewing. Wait. That's purple. I'm here again on this fine day, August 27th, and once again ask, can we please get a Do You See emote? Marathon was supposed to be a catch-all? No. Jenny, thank you so much for a VIP renewal. No, I don't think Marathon was supposed to be a catch-all. I think it was supposed to be one of many efforts to create revenue streams for them. I think they wanted to spin up multiple revenue streams so that as Destiny 2 declined, they had these other avenues of money. There was the payback thing that Noseworthy and Luke Smith were working on. That was going to be another revenue stream. Marathon was going to be another revenue stream. Gummy Bears was going to be another revenue stream. They were taking, at some level, I don't think this was a bad idea. I really don't. I think they were saying, we've got talent. We've got ideas. Let's spin up other games that could potentially start to glean from Destiny, lean on our prowess, lean on our trustworthiness or our history within the gaming world, and people will buy a game simply because it's got the name Bungie on it. Let's do that. So as Destiny starts to generate less revenue, these games start to fill in and start to make up the difference, and then we'll be a multi-title developer. It's kind of what I've been saying recently, how like we know Insomniac is working on multiple games at once. We know Naughty Dog is working on multiple games at once. We know Santa Monica is working on multiple games at once. Why? Because I don't think big studios are going to continue to hang the soul of the studio on one big game. It's like, no, let's diversify. Let's have multiple irons in the fire. So if something doesn't do as well as we needed it to, that's okay. We've got something else coming in a year or two that could do better or could do well. Like smaller projects, like AA size projects at a AAA quality, I've continued to say we might start to see an increase of that. I think Bungie was trying to forge a similar path. Like, we have lots of people here, lots of institutional knowledge, lots of good ideas. Let's spin up some other projects and start making money on something that isn't Destiny. That's what I think they were doing. And that's why I think people are completely, overreacting to statements the man made about a time where they put this into place and saved the game. The speech paired with neglecting Destiny or failed incubation projects, which in turn underdelivered content in their flagship game, on top of stripping content and watching data, is what killed the game. Literally soulless now. They leaned too hard on blueprint model because they needed to with all those incubation projects. Yeah, I think that's spot on. Ever since they did you wrong over lies and BS, they deserve everything they are getting. At some level, you are correct. At some level, you're correct. When you run a company the way they've run it, you're gonna have, I don't know. Metal Gear Network. We're receiving multiple bug reports. We are working on a patch to address each issue. We will have another announcement once the patch is ready for release. People haven't let go of the over-delivery statement because all content then has felt under-delivered. You kill creativity and innovation when you're focused on creating patterns. Yes, but he said this about a time where they literally saved the game. Folks keep missing that. They literally saved the game in 2018. Like I just think people keep missing that reality. This guy says, "Wow, what a cuck you are." Man, people are really, really angry about Destiny to the point that if they only knew my history with the company, if they only knew. Okay, here's what we need to do. I have 3 segments I need to do for you guys. skins are killing games, PlayStation's refund policy still sucks, and then PlayStation live service commentary from Herman Hulst. But I've been sitting here for 2 hours, and I was just draining my coffee during that debate. So I need a break. So do me a favor, smash the like button, do all the things. If you guys have been getting hit with those things that interrupt the stream on YouTube, I'm sorry, I just paused that. I will be right back, and we're going to go through all of the pertinent news stories and then maybe have some Q&A and discussion. Oh, we're also playing Shinobi today, okay? So don't go anywhere. Okay. Let me pull up some B-roll for these segments. Okay. What kind of Black Ops 7's trailers, trailers do we have now? Gameplay trailer will work. PlayStation games in 2025. We use that trailer, and then let's use a Concord trailer. And then we need secondary cap card zoom in. Okay. Loop. And then we'll do loop. Okay. Okay. I had to watch 8 ads earlier. Buy Turbo, it's $11.99. You know what's cheaper? Is sub to my channel and you'll never see an ad on my channel. If you're, depending on how often you're here, it's actually cheaper to do a sub than Turbo. So I wish I could do that for the people on YouTube, but I can't. But I regularly pause them over there on YouTube. So if you guys appreciate that I pause them regularly, consider becoming a member and saying, hey, thank you so much for not, constantly beating up the stream with ads. That direct support is how I do this full time. We are absolutely not reliant or sufficient from ads over here. We are not. We are not a large channel. We won't be at a level where we can live off of ads for a very long time. So you guys are the fuel that keeps this thing going. You know, we are a fan-funded channel. So okay, let's do that. Let's do this. Let's do that. All right, I'm going to turn all the goals and stuff off. All right, you ready? Here we go. So a big question right now is, are skins killing games? You see video games like Call of Duty and others just adding absolutely goofy skins and cosmetics, and it is sort of, in many people's minds, harming the games that they are showing up in. And right now, one of the things you may have seen within the criticism of Call of Duty is you've seen screenshots of things like Beavis and Butthead, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, you know, like American Dad. And that just sort of being a hyperbolic or even exaggerated example of like, look at how silly these games look. Well, obviously, when you see Black Ops 7 entering the frame after all the praise for Battlefield 6, you really have to start to wonder, are we going to see similar skins in Black Ops? Well, they've recently made an update that is potentially going to help, but could also blow up in their face. Now, if you looked at the Battlefield 6 praise, people were very quick to say, hey, please don't do what Call of Duty's been doing. Don't put Beavis and Butthead in your game. Don't put all this goofy nonsense inside of your game. Now, Battlefield 6's commitment has been, I think, so significant to own their identity, which is very timely seeing all the jumping that you're seeing in Black Ops 7. They even committed to creating more movement changes for the game before it comes out, because people are essentially saying this feels an awful lot like Call of Duty. There's no punishment or slowdown from jumping a lot or, you know, spamming and jumping around corners and things of that nature. They want the speed of the game to be conducive to the identity of Battlefield, which is more of a tactical, more squad-based game where you are making decisions that are a little bit more informed and intentional and not just running around and spraying and praying and jumping. Now, fast forward to now, Call of Duty's recent update. They have said that they have heard the feedback about things sort of fitting within the Black Ops identity, which when you look at this right here, that, I mean, let me just rewind it, okay? You look at this sort of like Vault Edition screen. I don't know about you, but that doesn't really scream sort of like a Black Ops identity. Like, I got really excited when the monitors came up in the original trailer because the numbers mason and Black Ops 1 was this very cerebral, almost like psychological thriller undercurrent inside the narrative of Black Ops 1. And I was excited to see that revisited. Sadly, whatever this Inception, you know, dream state drug trip nonsense is, like, this doesn't feel like we're really going to get that feel. It's not going to have that cerebral psychological thriller aspect. But because they've been listening to the feedback, they have announced that Black Ops 6 operators, operator skins, and weapons will no longer carry forward into Black Ops 7. Now, this could completely blow up in their face because they made commitments prior to this that your things would come with you. So obviously people are upset. Now, this feels like you're damned if you do, damned if you don't situation, because if they continue with the silliness and the frivolity and the Beavis and Butthead, you're going to have an identity that is significantly harmed, diluted, and messed up a little bit. Like, what is this game anymore? Like, I've seen screenshots of Call of Duty, and I'm like, if somebody woke up from a coma from 20 years ago, and I said, hey, what game do you think this is? They would not be able to tell you. If you showed them gameplay of Battlefield, and they had been in a coma since like Battlefield 4, they'd be like, oh, that's Battlefield, because it looks and feels like a Battlefield game. Now, from my perspective, a lot of this is the result of what I have called the Fortnite-ification of gaming culture. So many games right now are setting their sights on the almighty live service dollar. They know how much money they can make. They know that you can get a ton of players to buy in and keep spending their precious time and money inside your game for forever. But the Fortnite-ification of the industry has happened in another way. And I call this pop culture puke, where you just sort of puke pop culture all over your game. Now, Fortnite can get away with it You can play as Deadpool. You can play as Darth Vader. You can play as pretty much anybody. And it sort of fits within the cartoon aesthetic of the game. It's not a very serious game. It isn't. It's sort of all over the place. And you can be swinging around as Spider-Man 1 minute and driving in a dune buggy the next. And, I don't know, watching a big kaiju fight on the map, right, when they've had these big events. And so that actually fits within it. But this pop culture puke that has taken place in other games, like Call of Duty, it's a bit of a jump the shark moment. It's like, what are you doing to your game? Like, what has happened to it? It's like the soul has been ripped out. It doesn't really have a distinct identity anymore. We've talked about this with art direction. Games like Hi-Fi Rush, I think, will always look good. I think Borderlands will always have an element of looking good because it has a style, it has a feel. You know you're looking at Borderlands when you see a Borderlands. And you don't really have that in a Call of Duty because it's a milsim sort of a game, but now it's just been so injected with all of this silliness that it sort of has lost itself along the way. Like, look at these cutscenes with like real actors and these scenes with a sense of gravity and seriousness, like walking through a graveyard where veterans are lying, and then you're suddenly in a dream state with like giant machetes flying around and weird structures, and it's like you're tripping on drugs or something. That doesn't really feel like the game has a centralized identity. And then when you look at that Battle Pass screenshot that we looked at just moments ago, you can't be Fortnite. Like, not everyone is Fortnite, and I think we're clearly seeing that. We're clearly seeing that if games try to do this, the question of, are skins killing games? Yeah, I actually think skins are causing harm to games. Like, just take an example. Destiny's not in a great spot right now. People aren't happy with it. They're upset. It's kind of entering its twilight years, right? And it's looking a little desperate. We got a Star Wars, in quotations, a Star Wars thing coming up for Destiny. Now, this is not the first time they have put pop culture references in their game with skins. And my statement to them for a while now has been, can't you just die with dignity? Can't you just slowly put this game out to pasture with a little bit of dignity? You're doing these weird relevancy grabs very, very late in the life of the game is just, I think, a mistake. I don't think it's a good way for your game to be sort of slowly put out to pasture. And again, if you're looking at Call of Duty, they've already done some groundwork here. Let's just freeze frame this. Like, look at the guns. There's bright purples and blues and this cartoonish feel. And look at the characters in that top lane. If right here, if you saw these characters ripped from this trailer in a vacuum and it was just some random leak, you would not be able to tell me that that's a Call of Duty game, right? So if they have to pivot away from this, the stigma, the feeling about skins killing games, it's got to be pretty significant, because I actually think this is causing harm, which means after you've kind of jumped the shark, after you've kind of done this, you can kind of circle things back around and really own that identity again. I think the praise of Battlefield is proving this. And many people are saying, well, Battlefield will never sell enough copies. It'll never be big enough to truly hurt Call of Duty. I don't agree with that. If you look at the habits and the behavior of games like Fortnite and Warzone, they are aggressively, constantly changing everything. It's like the game has ADHD. Why? They're constantly trying to stoke the fires of attention. They need you in the game, spending money as often as possible. If even just a couple percentage points, let's just say 5% of the regular player base in Warzone decides that Battlefield's better. Let's just say that 5% of the people playing Warzone end up playing Battlefield's, Battle Royale for a couple of months instead of Warzone. Let's just say they end up playing Battlefield's, annual game versus Call of Duty's annual game, and they're living in Rush and Conquest. That is attention that is not going to a game that seemingly, for the last couple of years, has been desperate for it. These weird pop culture skins, I think, are symptomatic of that desperation. Like, we need people's attention. We need them in the game constantly. And if they're not there, we're losing money. Now, yes, Call of Duty will still be a top seller. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the C-suite, the executives, the bean counters are going to say, hey, we've lost players. We've lost revenue. Your MAU, your weekly, your daily, your monthly active users and players are directly linked to how much money the game makes. And if they see a decrease in direct relation to Battlefield, even if it's only 5%, 7%, think of how big Call of Duty is. 5% of a player base that size is huge. It's significant. It will lead to noticeable revenue going down. It will lead to potentially more people going. Can kind of spiderweb on you, can kind of network on you. Hey, all my friends went over there. I'm going to kind of go where my friends are going. Games like this are very social. If you think about the explosion of games like Fortnite, a lot of what catapulted the game was, the social aspect, playing with your buds, watching streamers play. So, devs and publishers should beware. Skins can kill your game if you're not careful. And I think right now, Black Ops is living proof that you can go way too far. So that's my take on it. Not sure what y'all's take on it is, but I think the fact that they're pivoting this sharply, I think the fact that they're responding this sharply, I think they know you can really, really harm your game with skins. You can really, really harm your identity and the public perception of your game with skins. You can. People will 100% be like, I don't know what the heck this is. I don't know. I haven't seen anything from Black Ops 7 that doesn't fit in Black Ops 7. Well, and like I was saying, Eugene, this right here doesn't look anything like Black Ops 1. I think that's where the frustration comes from. It's like you are taking one of the best stories that is very cerebral, that is very psychological, and you're turning it into, I don't know what this is. I got so excited from that first trailer. All that fits in Black Ops 7. All that fits into Black Ops 7, yes, now that we've seen it. Go back to the first trailer, and I don't agree with you. If you go back to the very first trailer where they establish that they're going back to the numbers mason, this looks like cheesy, arcadish, drug-fueled fugue state or something. I don't know what this is. Now that we've actually seen Black Ops 7, I agree with you. Going back to Black Ops 1 and that amazing story to do this to it, I think is a mistake. I don't think they should have done this. I think you're basically doing a cheap nostalgia grab, and you're doing this weird, I don't even know what to call it. It doesn't have an identity. It just looks cheesy. It looks like they're running around like toys or something. It's reminding me a ton of the Overwatch and Marvel rival situation. Oh, right? You better be careful. You could actually end up, having people decide they don't want to play your game anymore. Allegiances can shift. Now, I don't think Battlefield's going to have the pull that Marvel has. I think people invoke Marvel rivals slightly unfairly, because I don't think Marvel Rivals is necessarily a fair example because of the power of that IP. If Marvel Rivals was just a bunch of generic heroes and it was just called, Hero Arena or something, Battle of Heroes Arena or something, I don't think it would have done nearly as well. It wouldn't have. You'll never convince me that would have worked. The IP catapulted it significantly. Now, thank you again to everybody who has watched the Bungie upload. If you guys haven't watched that yet, it's on the channel right now, about Bungie over delivery. Thank you for giving that such a strong start. It's doing very, very well. It's fun to be able to do an upload while I'm streaming and to have it get good support. So thank you so much to everybody who has done that. Also, lots of new subscribers on that video. That's just super encouraging. So thank you for everybody that did that. We also did a Helldivers Halo video last night. So thank you to everybody who watched that. That one also did well. We really appreciate you guys that sub to the channel and just say, hey, I'm watching everything you put out there. That is a huge, huge blessing to the effort that we put in every day. Black Ops 3 had the same style too. Right, but again, Eugene, Battlefield 6 has changed the conversation. That's the point. You could be technically correct and it doesn't matter. The perception is, here comes another soulless, stupid, cheesy looking goofball game. Like, the identity is just not at all the severity and the seriousness of like the numbers Mason. Like, what the numbers Mason means to so many of us is not embodied by the goofiness that we've seen. It just isn't. Technically correct is the best kind of correct. I'm speaking within the confines of consumer feedback. They're responding to consumer feedback that has been enforced, I think, by the overwhelming consensus that we're sick of the cheesy crap. We're sick of the Beavis and Butthead, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Battlefield's getting it right. You're not. Now, you could be like, well, now, technically, though, this is what Black Ops looked like back then. It doesn't matter. Oh, you're making a Futurama reference. Sorry. I don't necessarily disagree. Right, like, I don't feel like you're disagreeing. I think you're just adding context to be like, they did this likely in the vacuum of, well, this is what the games have looked like. Let's stay within that vein and that aesthetic is now being rejected. It's kind of like what happened when that very, very first Kill the Justice League gameplay sample hit the airwaves, and people were like, what the frick is that crap? Why? Well, it looked like Fortnite. It looked like live service slop. Well, a couple of years ago, games that looked like that were all the rage. And everybody was making a game that looked like that. A couple years later, everyone's like, we're sick of this crap. It's a continuation of what they've already done, and that was previously okay. Bingo. Like, that 100% is the dilemma facing Call of Duty. The idea that Call of Duty is not threatened by Battlefield at all, their response to the feedback and going back on skins and operators and guns going from one game to the next, them walking that back, I think they're worried. They're like, oh man, that Battlefield 6 beta, it actually did damage to us. The runway for their game got really, really shaky and really damaged. Now, yes, they will still get a stupid amount of sales. The annual success of the game is almost unquestionably high. It's about a reduction. It's not about the height. It's about, like, how much lower is it going to be than they were hoping, anticipating, or than they previously saw, as far as daily active, monthly, weekly active users, as far as microtransaction spending, you know, all those things. I think they're going to see a reduction. And when you're that big, just like 5% less of your community buying your game or spending time in your game and like shifting over to Battlefield, that's a lot of dadgum people. That's a lot of people. And I don't think Battlefield will outsell Call of Duty. I don't think that Call of Duty will flop. I think Call of Duty will feel pain this year. They'll feel it. They're going to run their numbers and they're going to see it. And they're going to be like, we got to reconsider what we do with our game, our identity, and future content. The fact that Activision or whatever, they are now reconsidering anything proves they're scared. Yeah, going back on skins, going from one game to the next, I think that's pretty significant to go back on that. I do. I think it's pretty significant. So he's a counterpoint. Advanced Warfare was made by the same sorts that made Callisto Protocol. They know space lore. I don't know what these devs on Black Ops 7 are into, but apparently it's more, I don't know, Lord of the Rings? You think they're into Lord of the Rings? What are you talking about? Okay. The question is if this thing will hurt them, though. Yeah, I think it will. I think they're going to make less money. Think about what we've been saying about Call of Duty for a while now. It's driven by greed. It's driven by maximizing engagement. It's driven by, you know, the reason they put all that pop culture stuff in their game. Why? Well, they're trend chasing, they're relevancy chasing, they're attention chasing, okay? If they're that desperate to do that, then that means if they see a reduction to any degree, they are 100% going to chalk that up as a problem, as a loss. Yeah, microtransactions, all of it. You see what I'm saying? Like, they have displayed in Warzone and their behavior with skins and stuff, they have displayed a level of desperation for attention. They want it to go up, 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 up every year. They want increase. Games this size and companies like this, they're not satisfied with reduction and decline. They will not be happy about that. And I don't think they'll handle it lightly either. You have like 11 studios working on Call of Duty. That's a lot. That's a lot. So, I do have another segment I need to do, though. We've got other things to discuss and other things going on in the news. Now, this is happening way later in the broadcast because we had a lively debate in the beginning of the broadcast that was completely unrelated, and that's okay. But let me move on to the next segment, which is about how PlayStation refunds, they still suck. All right? Well, in case you missed it, PlayStation's refunds are still terrible, even though they did an update, okay? So you might have missed this update. They've made it easier for you to request a refund. However, they've not made it easier to actually get the refund. Now, I've got an article about this, and essentially what they have done is, I don't need to show you the article, that's kind of boring. I'll let you see some gameplay instead. The article shows that you can like go into the app and go to any previous purchases, and you can request a refund. This sounds great. This sounds like a step in the right direction. I have a video right now on the channel about how gamers want refunds. The Stop Killing Games initiative has really drawn the attention to the forefront that these companies can revoke your access to a game at any point in time. I think that's a secret weapon to argue for refunds. If you can take the game away from me, then I should be able to give it back within reason, okay? I'm not saying I should be able to return a game after 2 weeks and almost getting a platinum. I'm not saying I should be able to return a game just any old time that I want. There have to be stipulations. I think the way Steam does it is probably the best. I still think Steam should streamline it. I have argued that the ease with which you made the purchase, it should be just that easy to return it, and you should be able to do it at the point of purchase. Imagine going to Target, and they're like, yeah, you can't return that here. You got to go downtown and take an elevator and go through all these extra steps. No, you go back to the point of purchase. I've argued this many, many times. And PlayStation's update to refunds, the reality is they will still deny your refund simply because you have downloaded the game. Now, I've argued this is incredibly stupid. They can see on their end very easily if the game has been played. They can see how long you have played the game. One of their tiers on PS Plus literally lets you do game trials for a certain number of hours before not letting you play the game anymore. Systems like this are very, very easy to implement. You could simply revoke my access to the game, refund me my money, or even let's make it more simplistic. You don't have to pay the credit card fee to give me my money back. You could just give me store credit. Just put it back in my PlayStation wallet. So at the end of the day, you're keeping the funds. PlayStation at that level is still keeping the funds, and I would just use it on something else. I think you should set a time limit, especially for major titles. Smaller titles, sure, if it's 2 hours, that might be a little bit too long. Some games are only 4 or 5 hours and they're, $20, and you wouldn't let people, play basically half the game before getting their money back. But like major AAA titles, especially, if I pay $70, I get an hour in, and let's say it's buggy, let's say it's glitchy, let's say it's super disappointing, or I just don't think it's a game for me. Returning that game, you revoke my access to it. We know you can revoke my access to it because Stop Killing Games makes this very, very clear as an initiative. And after you do that, I now have credit in your store to buy something else. Inadvertently, what this would likely do, potentially, I don't know if Steam has any data to back this up, so I'm speculating, this could potentially increase spending in the PlayStation Store because people would feel more emboldened to be like, I've got $50 or $70 to spend right now. Let me buy this game. I didn't like it. Let me return it. Let me try something else. They would feel a greater sense of satisfaction on the money they spent, which establishes trust. It establishes loyalty. It also gives them, I think, a greater sense of empowerment as a consumer to say, I'm going to buy a game maybe I'm a little iffy on, and then maybe they love it. Maybe it really surprises them. We've all been there. We've tried a game maybe a little bit outside of our wheelhouse, and then we say, man, that game was actually pretty good. So yes, PlayStation has updated their refund ability, but the policy and the way that they actually grant refunds is still stupid, and I stand by that. Hopefully, consumer protection increases over time with initiatives like Stop Killing Games, and we do start to see digital returns and refunds of video games made more possible and more streamlined, so we're protected, and we're only really buying games that not only that we enjoy, but also that are at better quality. So that's what I think. I'd be curious what you think. So, I'm not sure where you guys land on this. I don't think I'm going to get a lot of disagreement on this topic, to be quite honest with you. Like, I don't think I'm going to get a lot of disagreement. I think the average consumer and the average gamer is going to be like, yeah, we should be able to return stuff. We should be able to get our money back. Within reason. Within reason. You should be able to go. You should be able to go to the point of purchase and be like, boom, I don't want this anymore. You know? Give me my money back. Hang on, I need to send a text to my friend. I had to do it. Obligatory middle of the day schedule a meeting text. There we go. He was like, you got to text me when I'm going to be with my secretary. And I'm like, okay. Everybody just copy Steam's return policy, please. I would 100% be okay with store credit. I didn't like the game. It doesn't mean I'm never going to buy anything else. Right. It just means that your money is better spent. You know? Like, the refund policy on PS is garbage, says Nick. That's what I'm saying. Like, don't you want me as a consumer to be happy with the money I spend in your store? How much money do you spend on PlayStation? Oh, dude, I spend a lot of money. Why? I never have to get stuck with a crappy game. I never get stuck with a game I don't like. Yeah, I spend about $150 a month because I know I'm always going to get something that I like. Instead, people are like, I don't know, $70. Maybe I'll wait for a sale. I mean, $50. I don't know. What if the game's no good? You'd be more emboldened to spend money on a regular interval. It's not like garbage. They don't even follow the policy half the time, and they try to deny your refund anyway. For sure, it's like case by case. Like who you get in the chat, Omar, might be like, no. Remember when they denied my refund for Stellar Blade? I wanted the deluxe edition instead, and they refused because I downloaded the demo. I mean, that's asinine. There's not another word for it. There's not another word for it. Somebody earlier today, Nick, a similar story to yours. They bought the PS4 version by accident. They wanted to return it. They wanted to get the PS5 version. They wouldn't let them. Like, a simple return policy with store credit solves both of the problems that you and another person face. And guess what? PlayStation still gets the money, and you're satisfied as a consumer. How is that a loss? How is that a loss? Who loses in that equation? Nobody. Nobody. You feel a greater sense of satisfaction with your purchase. They keep the money. The developers still get the money. In this instance, you're still buying. You're upgrading. You're wanting to spend more money. They tried to refuse me a refund for a game I didn't even download or play. It was just left over in the cart for a legit purchase. It was a game I already owned. I had to hound them for like 2 weeks. Sven says, what's weird is the refund I showed you for Gears yesterday, I had the game already downloaded, even though the game technically released, but I never played anything before I did it. Where's Slughammer? Why are you spamming that? I don't know what you're talking about. What is Slughammer? Is that a game that was supposed to release today or something? I have no idea what you're asking about, Perfect Image. I spoke to customer support within minutes of it going through. The only issue I could see is easily exploitable. Play the game while not logging hours in your account to get disingenuous refunds. Well, they'd have to track hours played on the license. Yeah, they'd have to be able to track hours played on the license. Oh. I see what the problem is. I see what the problem is. You could install the game, and if you switch the console to play offline and like share the game, you could unhook the console from the internet, roll credits, and then call and say, hey, I'd like a refund, or go through the chat. Here's the catch, though. Here's the catch. You would only be able to do it on the console connected to the internet. As soon as you do that, it would say, this game was played for 50 hours. You cannot get a refund. They would literally say, like, let's say you go to the website of the app. I'd like to refund this game. Okay, we need you to turn your console on and hook it up to the internet. Why? We need to make sure you haven't played the game beyond the allotted time. Right? Like, I think that's completely fair. Like, if you wanted to refund the game, they'd be like, no, we've noticed that, you know, your console has been offline for 72 hours. You need to plug the thing back into the internet. We need to verify if the game has been played or not, if the license has been engaged with on your console. I disagree with you, Lono. How are we supposed to drink your tears if you can get a refund? I assume PlayStation has achievements. Okay, so think of it this way, James. If I install the game and I turn my PlayStation into a home PlayStation so Madam can play the game, I could unplug the PlayStation from the internet, get on Madam's profile, play the entire game, and then return it and be like, I never played the game on my account. Well, they would say, you need to turn on the PlayStation, plug it into the internet, and then they would run a data report on the license, and they would say, this game has 70-something hours of logged playtime over the last week. You cannot refund it. Somebody played the game for 50 hours, 20 hours, whatever. Like that, they'd have to make you do that. So anybody trying to pull a scam would get caught. They'd be like, oh yeah, I bought the game last week. I haven't played it. I'd just like to return it. They'd be like, okay, plug your PlayStation in, log in, please. Yeah, we're seeing that another profile played that game for 25 hours. You can't return it. I think that would be totally fair. If you want store credit on something that somebody played, you know, they would even say, like, we're not saying it was you, but somebody played that game. It cannot be returned. It cannot be refunded. I think that would be totally fair. We're not out here trying to set up systems so people can steal. That's stupid. I pre-ordered DK Bonanza on Switch 2, and a day after I sent them mail that I wanted a refund. They were slow to respond, and in the end, I got it for 5 days and finished it, and then I got the refund. Oh, well, that's on them. They took too long to process it. That's not your fault. You didn't try and pull some kind of a scam. That sounds like they made a clerical mistake. That's not your responsibility. You thought, well, they're not going to give me the refund. I might as well play it. And then if they grant the refund late, a bank error in your favor. They're the dum-dums that took too long to do it. If they had done it in a timely manner, you wouldn't have been able to play it. Maybe Lono would have liked Demon Souls better if he got the Slug Hammer instead of the Claymore. He didn't even clarify why he was asking about Slug Hammer. I don't understand why he was doing that. That was super, super weird. I'm just having around. No, Sven, I know you're joking. I was genuinely curious why he said it. Which, by the way, guys, I took the gold down because I was recording some segments. We are going to need to rally like crazy for the Friday night. Madam and I will play some Gears of War for you guys. She's never played it before. We really enjoyed playing Space Marine, but we're going to have to hit that goal this week if you guys want that Friday night stream. So you guys are going to have to really, really buckle down. This might be the first time in years that we don't have a Friday night stream. We will see how it goes. We got 2 days. We got 2 days to rally. So we'll see how Twitch and YouTube decide to do. We do have another story here. Okay? We do have another story to talk about, and it's Herman Hulst's comments about wanting to fail and fail cheap. And this is where I really, really want to react to a Legendary Drops video about this subject. I want to do it in the right way and in a good way, and I want to be charitable, but we might start doing reaction content like that for Member Plus and above. So that if you're like, man, that sounds like great content, Lono's going to break down someone's video or argument or something, I want to be here for that, you're going to have to upgrade. If we decide to do that, that content will not get unlisted so that you can go watch it later like some people have done. It would disappear. You'd have to be there for it live, okay? It would be an immediate benefit to you. You upgrade, you hang out, you watch. It could be a good time. So I don't think I'm going to have time for that today, though, because I want to play Shinobi Art of Vengeance. But I do want to talk about this discussion because Herman Hulst did say some interesting things that I'm curious what it has to do with Marathon, okay? Does PlayStation want to fail? That is the question. It's the question on the thumbnail and the title probably of this video, if that's what my editor goes with. Anyway, according to Herman Hulst, if they're going to fail, PlayStation wants to fail early and fail cheap. And I know what you're thinking. You're seeing Concord behind me, and you're like, oh my gosh, that wasn't cheap. Well, listen, before I even get into the video, we need to clarify that the $400 million and the $200 million number that continues to get thrown around was not money spent by PlayStation. That continually gets misrepresented, okay? That was money that Firewalk procured from investors, and that was for multiple projects. All of that money did not go into Concord, and none of it came from PlayStation. PlayStation did, in fact, I would say, lose by purchasing a studio that had a game that didn't go anywhere, but the idea that PlayStation lost $200 or $400 million is actually false. It's not factually correct. Please stop making videos claiming that, and let's be accurate in what we talk about here. Okay, but on this subject, okay, there was a Financial Times interview, and in the interview they said this in the article: Sony is seeking to ensure that its first-party studios, 20 standalone groups that make games exclusively for its PlayStation console, contribute more to the overall revenue growth and take measured risks, all without squashing the independence each studio demands to produce hits. Now, in this interview and in this article, when that's being stated, it's pretty clear that PlayStation is not pivoting away from its first-party studios making exclusives, despite all the false narratives that we saw because of a job posting and people not understanding what an executive said about platforms. But that's a whole other story that we covered in a different live stream. This is what Herman Hulst said, though, on the subject of live service, which is a separate subject entirely. I actually don't think they're going to be leaning on their first-party studios any longer for live service. He said, quote, "I don't want teams to always play it safe, but I would like for us, when we fail, to fail early and cheaply." Now, this is what's making all the headlines, right? Is that, we want to fail early and cheaply, okay? He also said that the high number target of live service games that was previously set by Jim Ryan, that's not actually the focus. He said, quote, "The number of live service releases is not so important. What is important to me is having a diverse set of player experiences and a set of communities." Now, this lines up with previous things that Herman Hulst said about how they weren't just going to make a bunch of Fortnites. They wanted to have games that were spanning multiple genres and multiple audiences. And I always said, I feel like they're going to be placing small bets. Helldivers 2 was a small bet. Not a huge budget, not a lot of publishing dollars and marketing went into it, and then the game explodes and goes viral. That was well worth it, right? They have other live service successes in games like Gran Turismo 7 and MLB The Show. Also, Marvel Tokone Fighting Souls could be a significant win for them, and the budget behind that game is probably nowhere near some of their more major AAA tentpole titles, and the return on that investment could be absolutely enormous. Case in point, the success of Marvel Rivals. The Marvel IP is very strong, especially in gaming. Now, he also acknowledged, however, that they need to be more rigorous. If you're going to be taking these small bets, and you're going to be doing these different games in different studios and things, it's like, hey, we got to be more rigorous in our testing. As I'm showing you Concord, right? It's like, goodness gracious, what's going on here? He said, quote, "We have since put in place much more rigorous and more frequent testing in very many different ways. The advantage of every failure is that people now understand how necessary the oversight is." Now, this begs the question, okay? Does this mean that they want to launch Marathon and just let's see if it fails quickly? Because we're looking at Concord, right? A lot of people feel that Marathon is going to be very similar to Concord. It is going to fail, and it is going to fail fast. I would argue Marathon's already failed. Failed to capture attention, failed to get people excited. They did a showcase of an alpha. They made their alpha public. It didn't change anybody's opinion. Then they got caught doing art theft. That was a huge controversy. The stream defending that, apologizing for it. I guess you could say they were taking accountability for it, which they really didn't. They passed the buck on some mythical, invisible person. I think the game's already failed. And wouldn't it be cheaper if you're trying to fail quickly and fail cheaply? Hasn't it already failed quickly? And wouldn't it be cheaper to just be like, why would we ship this? Like, Bungie operates independently, and they're the ones publishing it, right? But let's say they put it out there, and it's terrible, and then you got to lay more people off. Well, that's going to result in either talent loss within a studio that PlayStation owns, or they're going to have to absorb those employees and shoulder more operational costs. SIE has already absorbed 200 to 300 people. They spun up a new studio called LFG for the Gummy Bear project. I don't know if PlayStation wants to start to shoulder more talent and more operational costs while Bungie continues to not make money on its endeavors. Destiny 2 is falling down in demand as well as probably profitability, which will inevitably likely lead to more layoffs. But then if this happens with Marathon, well, that could also be damaging. So my opinion would be very simple here. Marathon already failed. It failed very, very fast. And the cheapest way right now to treat that failure would be for it to not launch. However, the way Herman Hulst phrases this, they may be of the opinion that when the train has gone this far, you might as well put it out there and learn. You might as well. You might as well ship it and learn the lessons and look at the feedback and look at player behavioral patterns. My pushback on that is you're not going to get a lot. You're not going to get a lot of player behavior patterns. You're just going to see a lot of fall off, a lot of negativity, which I think will inadvertently hurt demand and consumer confidence in future PlayStation Live service games. The shadow of Concord is still draped over all future PlayStation endeavors. It ends up in thumbnails to this day. There's also a recent remark from a Sony earnings call that Bungie will be restructured. And, PlayStation Studios is where Bungie will end up landing. And now Pete Parsons has quote-unquote stepped down. I think he was fired. So that would mean Sony could be in charge. If you look at the replacement for Pete Parsons, Justin Truman, he doesn't have the same title as Pete Parsons. He's not the CEO. Active CEO or acting CEO could be landing on somebody at PlayStation because they want to do, as that earnings call comment said, they want to put them through a bit of a restructuring. So if Sony's in charge and Herman Hulst has his way, I actually think Marathon could come out because he sees value in that happening. He sees value in the car crash, I guess. Kind of like when they do the crash test dummies tests to see, let's slow it down and look at where all the cracks in the glass and the body of the car are. Maybe he sees, wisdom in that. He could also see it the other way, and maybe they're chomping at the bit to be like, nope, we like to fail early, we like to fail cheaply. Your game already failed. We're not going to spend another dime marketing it or putting it out there. We heard from Colin Moriarty previously that in one particular market, they were already cutting the marketing for this. And that could be the beginning signs of PlayStation saying, we're trying to save money on this project because it's already destined for failure. Now, they could see the inevitable failure as instructive for future projects. Maybe it's worthwhile. It's gone through all this production revision. They're doing beta tests right now. Time will tell. But if PlayStation wants to fail early and fail cheaply, Marathon looks to be another quick test case for just how fast a game can fail. What do you guys think? Does this thing even come out? I mean, this guy's saying fail quick, fail cheap. The game's already failed. There's no way it ends up with a player base. There's no way they make any money on it. There's no way. There's no way, boys. And a 50 bomb from Silent Spartan out of nowhere. He says, listen, boys, we are not losing our streak. I officially owe YouTube a 5 bomb. There it is. The bounce back we need. These guys need some tag team partners. We lost some of our tag team partners that were dropping 50 bombs and 20 bombs. Spam that farty bomb emote and see if you can summon another one to put us back on pace for that weekly stream. We will be playing Gears of War on Friday night if you guys unlock it. And I owe you guys members right now on YouTube. I owe you a 5-bomb. You've earned a bunch of singles, and they've added up, and I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to do that right now. I'm just going to add to the train. I'm going to add to the insanity. Let's get some momentum here, boys. Let's get some momentum. Up the ante, play Gears on insane difficulty. Well, no, it wouldn't be fun to watch us play on a hard difficulty. Like, we want to actually be able to play the game and laugh, like, not just die the whole time. Shenanigan says, I don't see Sony canceling Marathon when they bought Bungie for their live service expertise. Only Bungie would cancel it if they feel it won't succeed, but it seems like they believe in it. Bungie could still be in charge of the publishing, and it's their call. Like, Pete Parsons, quote-unquote, stepping down. My take on that is Sony's taken over. And if Sony gets in the driver's seat, I would think they would want to cancel the dadgum game. I don't think they would want to push that thing out. I really don't. Play wouldn't have the weight test if they were confident in it. I'm not sure what you're saying, Rope. I think it's just okay with a single player. They could sell it for cheap. What in the world would you do single player in that game? Thank you again, Silent Spartan, for the 50 bomb. We greatly appreciate it, man. So many people every month getting those gifteds. They wouldn't have the playtest coming up if they were confident in the game. Right. And another one. Oh my gosh. Another 50 bomb. This man's tag teaming by himself. Unreal. Putting us at 235. Goodness gracious. That is a lot of members. You guys better be saying thank you to this man. He is blessing a ton of you. Hang on one second. This is a one. I got to do both here. Here we go. 138. Silent Spartan, what are you doing? Yeah, he's doing it all by himself. He's like, I'll do it myself. You know? We've had people continually over the years rise to the occasion like that. You know what I mean? I need a wellness check on Silent Spartan. No, I have not reacted to the No Man's Sky Voyager stuff. We could. I was scrolling this morning on the page. It's like a game. Their update is like a game. That's how much content and updates that they're doing to No Man's Sky. They literally, I couldn't believe it. I was like, this seems like a press release for an entire game, and it's just a free update. It's absolutely absurd. You know what I'm saying? Now, you guys could quickly get us back on pace and help out Silent Spartan with a bunch of singles and fives. We could do it. We could make a run right now. I actually need to schedule the Shinobi gameplay stream now that I'm thinking about it. We're doing a lot of content today. Let's see here. Oh, there's RGB for consoles. Zubair has nothing left. There you go. Okay, Shinobi. Okay, save image as. Okay, schedule stream. Okay. Okay. There we go. You can make some cool lore implications. The campaign can serve and teach people how the extraction elements could work. I mean, homie, they've got a pretty tall order if you think they can just convert Marathon into a single-player endeavor. You know what I mean? Like, that would be pretty significant. You know what I'm saying? To, like, all of a sudden turn it into, like, a single-player game. Like, I just don't know if that's even possible. Am I going to play Destiny Rising on PC? No. It's not a looter shooter. It isn't. Thank you, Anthony, for a VIP renewal. The only people that are going to play Marathon are the Destiny 2 streamers who get free copies. No comment. Let's see here. There we go. Thank you so much for bumping the line to 236 and 139 on the week. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Just add it. They can build a campaign. I don't agree. I don't think they could just add it. I don't know. I don't disagree with you that PvE was something even people at the studio were trying to communicate to the higher ups, that they needed some level of PvE, but come on. I don't think it would be easy. Chaos says, how did Gears Reloaded boot up? Did it have Microsoft Gaming? It had Xbox Game Studios at the beginning, was what it showed. And a 5 bomb comes in from Sal. Thank you so much for rolling us up to 241. We're a 10 bomb away from the next milestone. Whoever hits it gets it. We got a little bit of momentum right now. Now's the time to keep it going. Somebody could easily put that 10 bomb down. Either platform can do it, Twitch or YouTube. I'd play Destiny Rising out of spite. I don't have any spite left. I don't. I'm all out of spite for that company. I don't even feel pity for them anymore. It's going to take work, but what's different from building a whole new game? All right. So this would be my advice to them. I would take the core elements of Marathon, put it into Destiny 3 as a place, as a mode, as a thing. That's what I would do. You got loot table logistics, movement and gun mechanics. Aren't there 100 bombs on Twitch? There are 200 bombs on Twitch. I think they can do up to 200, can't they? Let me see here. Oh, no, they can go up to 100. I thought they could do 200. Maybe I'm misremembering. We'll see. What does it even cost? I mean, a lot. That really the problem, isn't it? Titanfall, Battlefront, examples of multiplayer only. They're not Concord or Marathon, not at all. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Pork Pie did a 200, didn't he? I'm pretty sure Pork Pie did a 200 bomb. Because they said they opened it up and they were allowing people to do 200, and he said he was going to do it, and he waited until the next week, and then he literally came in and did it. Absolute insanity. Right now, a 10 or a double 5 could secure the 250, which is pretty good. That would be halfway through the halfway mark of the week. I mean, that would be a definite course correction on the week, and we could be hanging out on Friday night again with Madam. 200 must be insane. It was. The chat, it literally broke my my combined chat app. It broke it. It didn't work. Like, I had to close it and reopen it. What shirt is that? It's just a Deadpool shirt. I think it came in a loot crate. It's got like this Deadpool Club Merc tag down here on it. I think it came in a loot crate. Polarin says, what the heck? Can we have a chat about Destiny Rising? What? Why? What do you want to chat about it? I don't have much to say. I mean, it's not, again, it's not a looter. I don't have really any interest in it. Let's see. Where's Hello Games post about it? Is this it? Yeah. It's a gacha game. Your t-shirt to say maximum effort. I have a maximum effort Deadpool shirt somewhere. I think he's like on a unicorn or something. Play Destiny Rising, please. It got me. When does it officially release on PC? I just don't. I don't know. I just don't have really any interest in it. Hang on 1 second. I need to save this thumbnail. Okay. Okay. 5 spot from Sora. Hey, Reforge, hope the stream's going well. I'm loving Gears of War Reloaded. Well, I'm glad you're loving it. If we hit the member goal for the week, Madam and I will be playing it on Friday night. It's just a mobile game. Oh, people are using emulators to play on PC. Oh. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Would you play Gears with members? I mean, that would be like a community game thing, and that would be like a huge goal. Like when we were doing that, we were doing like hey, if you hit 500, we'll do a stream Friday night. If you hit 1,000, I'll do a stream Saturday. I would be totally willing to do that. I mean, at some level, we kind of need it. I'm just trying not to fixate on this too much, right? It's an aspect of what we do, but it can become a huge distraction. If people want to go crazy and go buck wild, I mean, that is welcome. I mean, that's how I do what I do. Is we've got like a very, very generous community. But I don't want to constantly every week hammer on that. Like, you know what I mean? It becomes it's a delicate balance, you know? It's a delicate balance. Thank you for the $5 super chat, Sora. He says, drop a like. Yeah, let's try to get to 300 likes. We should be at 300 likes. We had a pretty good turnout today. We need a Helldivers community night. Let me just show you guys. I don't even know if I could do a reaction to the No Man's Sky Voyagers thing. Let me just show you how significant this is. I'm just scrolling through all of the things. Like, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to scroll and just read the headlines. All right. So the No Man's Sky Voyagers update is so significant. I can't even read through the whole thing for you. I just want to show you. I'm just going to scroll. This is huge. This is like a press release for a full game, and this is just a free update, okay? So No Man's Sky Voyagers introducing update 6.0. So they got their trailer. I'm just going to read the topics, right? Assemble a fully custom starship. Step directly into deep space. Thunderbird class habitations. Let's just keep scrolling. Corvette assembly Canberra. Step out of the pilot seat. Corvette Expedition. Look at how gorgeous this game is. Goodness. Titan class cockpit. Look at the cockpit. You just like walk in there, get ready to fly your ship. Console control rebinding. Transport your friends on your ship, right? Just go have some fun. Ambassador class furnishings. Sculpt a unique silhouette. Emboit graphics technology. I don't even know what that is. I don't even know if I said that right. Titan class interiors. Okay? I'm halfway through. Okay? I'm only halfway through this update. And think about how much I've already read and how much I've already scrolled past. Deep Learning Super Sampling 4. Embedded Corvette refiner unit. So something you can do inside your ship. Look at this game. So good. Thunderbird class cockpit. Prepare crew victuals. You can cook. You can now cook for your people in your ship. Got to keep going. Plasma starship trail. Multi-crew mission radar. Okay? Skyborne exosuit. Look at this. It's gorgeous. This looks like something that I want right now. Expand and extend your build. So they've got a selection of like hull connectors and ways you can like unique your builds now and make them your own. Here's a nice ship that somebody there built. Mecha mouse companion. Okay, we're still not done. I'm not reading. I'm just scrolling and reading the headers. All right, enhanced player lighting, and then they let you do this like literally on like look at that. Look at right around his head, especially right around the helmet. Maximize your stats. You can tailor the stats of your ship. Reactors, engines. I'm not supposed to read. I'm sorry. I'm not supposed to read. Look at him standing there in his cockpit. It's almost like they watched like the Starfield ship creation and like Sean Murray took that personally. He was like, well, we're going to show you some ship customization. Corvette greenery, salvage, and 4 modules. All right. Gaze out at the stars. We're still scrolling. Deadeye cannon upgrade. PlayStation Spectral Super Resolution. So if you're playing on PSVR 2, you can take advantage of PSSR now on the PS5 Pro. So this is an upgrade specifically for the VR. That's incredible. This is actually one of the best games to play on the PSVR 2. Trade Corvette modules. We're still scrolling. Adorn and decorate your hull. Vigilant jetpack trail. Skyborne jetpack unit. That looks awesome. Oh, this game is just so good looking. Ambassador class cockpit. Countless wing configurations. There's a Twitch campaign as well. Great looking ship there. Engage the autopilot. Skydive from your Corvette, from your ship. That's it. And then here's all the patch notes. That's it. That's 4 minutes of just scrolling and reading the headers. No Man's Sky as a game has got to be one of the most insane, ongoing love letters. It's not a love letter, it's a love novel at this point. Hello Games is unmatched. I gotta say it. Absolutely unmatched. You know what I mean? That's insane. I scrolled for 4 minutes. Marginal commentary, just reading the headers. I was just reading the headers. That's just a free update. That's like a whole game. That's like a press release for an entire game of stuff to do. And they just, we just added it. We just added that to No Man's Sky. Here you go. For free. For free. You see what I'm saying? Chat? I know you see what I'm saying. Craziness. Absolute craziness. What happened to the Reforge Community Planet No Man's Sky? I think it's still going. I'm pretty sure it's still going. Guys, do me a favor on YouTube. The like count didn't move when we said a little bit ago. Let's check the likes. Make sure you've hit like. Try to get us to 300 likes. It's sitting at 266. I think we could easily hit that to 300. We will be shifting gears here in a little bit to Shinobi Art of Vengeance. I'm very excited to play that game. I played the demo for you guys in a green room, and I loved it. We'll play it. We usually play a game for anywhere from 30, 45 minutes to an hour. I will tell you, Madam and I jumped back into Revenge of the Savage Planet last night. Now that they've updated it with the 60 FPS, great. Just fun. We had a blast with it. That'll be our game for the time being. We were really enjoying it. So really, really glad that they pushed that performance patch out. There's also an update for Shadow Labyrinth, the Metroidvania Pac-Man game that got terrible reviews. Maybe they can turn that game around with some updates, because there was a lot of negative feedback about that game. Liza P also recently got an update. And what was the other game that it told me was updating here? Update also... Rogue Prince of Persia got an update as well. So... No Man's Sky was the first game I played on my Pro. On the 4K monitor, looks so good. Yeah, No Man's Sky on the PSVR 2 is a real treat, especially once you get in outer space and like just kind of fly around for a little bit. It's awesome. It really is. It's excellent. They've just done such great work with it. You know, they've just done such great work with it. It is like I said, it's not a love letter. It's like a love novel. It's like a constant flow of good things for the community, you know, and they just keep going. I happen to think that a lot of what they're doing, I think people are correct. A lot of what they're doing is they're building and kind of practicing for not No Man's Sky. Light No Fire. Yeah. I don't know what the Liza P update was. I just my PlayStation just told me that it downloaded. I don't know what it was. Not really sure. So, in 10 minutes, we are going to go to Shinobi Art of Vengeance. Give me 1 second, and then we'll kind of shift gears into that, okay? And I appreciate you guys supporting all the content today, hitting the likes and all that. Double check that one more time. Make sure it saved your like. We're trying to get to 300 likes. You guys are the best. I'll be right back. Sorry, chat. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We're babysitting our friend's baby from across the street. He is like painfully cute. I can't do it. He's such a cute kid. He's always laughing and smiling. I was like, my kids are like, guess who's here? Because I know how much I like him. Like I always want to like talk to him and it's great. We're past that point. We are past that point in our life, 9 and 11 years old. We're good. We got man-to-man defense, but boy, oh boy, is he he's a cute bebe. All right, 8 minutes, and we're going to go into some Shinobi, okay? Appreciate you guys. You're the best. We need 24 more likes on the video, and Silent Spartan has become the champion this week. Pulling that member count up. Thank you so much, Silent Spartan. I thought I was past that point, if you recall. 9 and 11, you're about to go into the rebellious years? About to? We're already there, homie. Looking forward to becoming a grandpa in December. Little girl is going to be so spoiled. Do it, lady. Melrose Mike coming in. Says, afternoon, y'all. Bumps the line by 1, gets us to 242. That 10 bomb is still just hanging in the air for anybody that wants to steal it. Either platform could land us on that 250. Amskin's going to bump the line. 4 months, a purple renewal over there. And guys, don't forget to use that music command. My second album is landing this Friday, and you can help us get closer to monetization. You can help us get a little bit closer to monetization by subbing to the music channel. So you can type !music, or you can go to the Faceless Forge on YouTube. And let's see here. Some gameplay for you. Shinobi Art of Vengeance. Done. Okay. Isn't Steam player count literally doubled, and that was half the total peak yesterday? Oh, what are you guys trying to get to the bottom of? I love how the Helldiver concurrent account is being framed as if it's because of the Xbox release, and it's not the giant update that they did. Oh yeah, they did a huge update, and the player count's huge on it's huge on Steam. That's where most of the people are. That's not going to change anytime soon, by the way. You know what I mean? Okay, I was just making sure we were synced up. That music is really good. Somebody already complimented the music. Will Helldivers 3 get a campaign? You're assuming you're going to get a Helldivers 3. Dangerous assumption. Gosh, this music is so freaking good. What's going on? feel like I'm in like a great movie in the 90s. You know, me and the samurai boys were just riding on some horseback. We're getting ready to go out and conquer the world. All right, I've already switched directories. YouTube, I'm going to put a link in chat. When you guys come and support gameplay, even if you just hang out for 30 minutes, it's hugely helpful to me, okay? Lumen's Arise demo? I'm not sure. Thank you so much for checking out this video. If you're watching this later, you missed my live stream of Shinobi Art of Vengeance gameplay. Okay, I already played Shinobi Art of Vengeance gameplay of the demo. This is the brand new game. It just came out. We've been just sitting here listening to the soundtrack. It's awesome. And I'm going to jump right in. I'm not going to waste any time. There is assist options and things like that. We're just going to start the game normal. I love the demo. I'm going to end the previous stream and bring folks over with redirect. Thank you guys so much. And Insomniac Black for your renewal. I appreciate that so much. And a perfect example of don't order deliver would be a warehouse setting. Well, thank you so much. And another person with a renewal there as well.